Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
Friday, we made it. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. That's Derek Gunn, stretching it all out right there. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Look at all the crew already in the chat. What's up, Father Sean? What's up, James? What's up, K. Rowley or K. Raleigh, Sweenbull, William, Philly Fly, Tyler? How you guys doing? Thanks for hanging out with us. We do appreciate it each and every day. Smash the like button, friends. Let's go on a tear today if we could. Gunner, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah. Happy to be hanging. Yeah.
The day after the graduation, things have subsided. Now you can almost get some normalcy back in your life.
Some so-called normalcy, whatever that means. But yes, yeah. Hey, look, I'm happy that you can actually see outside of your front door. It's clearing up here. It's a nice day. It's not real hot. It's got little no humidity. It's nice day. Not warm enough for you. I know.
No, not yet. Which is weird because every year this time of June, it usually gets hot and it stays hot even at night. It gets in the 80s and it stays in like the 70s at night. It's been dropping. It's been going from the 70s and 80s down to 50s at night. I'm like, what is this?
I know.
What's going on here?
Crazy. What's up, James? Checking in for the first time from Louisville.
What up, James? How you living,
good? Is up our guy Twiz to Jigga? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but what's up? What's up, Tyler?
Twiz to Jigga. Yeah, that's a tough one.
What's up, Tyler?
That's a Dr. Seuss tongue twister.
You got that right, man. So a lot going on. Phillies win their fifth straight. Wheeler takes a no into the eighth. And then it almost looked like he was going to lose the game, or they were to lose the game. But to the Phillies' credit, they fought back, and they get the win. They keep it rolling. 5 straight Dodgers. The real test begins tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get into that. We have Greg Murphy joining us at 1 o'clock. So Murph is we'll break it all down with Murph coming up in a little bit. And by the way, Murph doing great things in the community. I'll tell you about that, what he's doing, because it's fantastic. Okay. We'll get into that with Murph. Stanley Cup Finals last night. Gunner, I was all over it. Panthers come back and win in overtime last night. They cut the lead to 2-1 now. They had to get that one, or else they might have gotten swept out. They win it in Miami.
I picked that game up at the beginning of the third period, and it couldn't stop watching. The drama was incredible. Both goalies played outstanding. Florida gets the late goal to send it to overtime. Although Vegas got a power play with like 11 seconds left in regulation, and I'm like, uh-oh.
I know.
Uh-oh. And then they had a minute 49 power play early in the overtime, and I'm thinking, this not look good. Not look good. But I love it. I love this. I hope we go 7 games. What a great comeback. What a just drama, man. Drama filled.
Yeah, it was definitely fun watching that for sure. We have the NBA Finals tonight. Game 4, Denver up 2-1. So that'll be tonight, and we'll see if Miami can get one here and continue to make this thing interesting. I think if Denver wins tonight, Gunner, this could be over real quick in 5.
Yeah. Let's go, Miami. Let's go.
I hear you, man. I'm rooting for. I just want it to be a good series. I want the thing to go deep. I want it to be a good series.
Right.
So there's that. We have the Eagles OTAs, which came to a conclusion yesterday. Jalen Hurts spoke. As we talked about on the show yesterday, he gave us, he's in mid-season Jalen form, man. Last year doesn't matter. It was a funny line. I thought this was good. Anything stand out to you about the offseason? I think was the question that was posed to him.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, Kelsey's back. Like, that was pretty cool, man. Like, that just shows you how much Kelsey means to him. I like that a lot.
Kelsey is the engine that drives the vehicle on that offense. And you know what? That's great respect from your quarterback for your center, because he knows every game could be his last game he plays with Kelsey,
True.
That's special. I love what Sirianni also said, that Jalen Hurts is the most coachable player I've ever been around.
Mm-hmm.
That is high praise right there.
Yeah. I just think, look, you got to be talented, but so much of it when you get to that level, like players are in a lot of ways are very close in talent. They're all the best that played growing up. They're the best that played in high school. They're the best, in college, and they get there. And I think the thing a lot of times that separates, because we've seen plenty of guys, Derek, with unbelievable talent that just don't pan out.
Yep.
Is that work ethic. And it's not BS. Like, it just sounds like, sometimes, oh, yeah, sure. No, man, it's real. And with this guy, like, he gets it. And that's the great thing about this contract is you don't have to worry about it with him. Like, he is not going to be one of those guys who just rest on his laurels. He's not going to be worried about what car he's driving. Like, he's not wired, and he'll never be wired that way.
A lot of people think when great athletes get to the professional level, they just rest on their laurels to achieve. These guys work harder when they get to the professional level than they did trying to climb the ranks to get there, because they know what has been given to them today could be taken away tomorrow, whether it's somebody better, injury, anything. These dudes are workaholics. When you look at the best of the best, look at Jerry Rice. He ran that hill his whole career and would take other players up and down that hill in the Bay Area with him. And a lot of those players couldn't do what Jerry Rice did. But some of them, come away saying, the training I did with Jerry Rice made me a much better athlete,
right,
mentally and physically. There are a lot of athletes that are like that, stories we don't even hear, and man, the sacrifices they make, we see the money, we see the glory of what they do on game days. We don't get to see, a lot of people don't get to see the behind the scenes stuff that they put in to get their bodies right day in and day out over a span of 5, 10, 12, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. Not easy.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing with Jalen is he wants to be a leader too. Now, there's nothing wrong with guys who maybe aren't the most vocal guys in the world, but they put the work in, and they're working nonstop. He is a leader too. He brings guys together just to work out, whether that's throwing balls to them, whether that's working out with Lane Johnson in the barn, the infamous barn from Lane Johnson. But I knew right away with him when I heard the older players quoting him. Like that, when you hear like a 10-year guy quoting a second-year guy, and this was before Jalen became Jalen last year, they were quoting him. And I'm like, oh boy, okay, this guy has something that people want to follow. And at the most important position in sports, you do have to have that. I mean, let's face it, a lot of things went wrong with Carson Wentz, a lot, physically and whatnot. I don't think he was that kind of leader. I think he had friendships in the locker room. It wasn't like everybody hated him, because that's not what it was. But I don't think he had the backing of the entire team, where I feel like Jalen has the backing of everybody.
I don't want to use the word hate, but you had players that said anonymously that Carson was the kind of guy, he had his small clique that he gravitated towards and didn't really spend much time with everybody else. You look at Jalen. Jalen embraces everybody in the locker room. He doesn't care who you are, doesn't care what you make. And that's what a true leader does, man. You bring in everybody. Even if you don't hang out with them after practice or a game, even if you don't invite them over to your house, like you might do with your offensive linemen or wide receivers or running backs, you just make sure you let everybody in the locker room know that I'm approachable at any given time, and they can chop it up at any given moment. That's what a true leader does. For as high of a pedestal as Carson was on that 2017 season before he got injured, man, did he crash and burn after that with this organization. And that's when little stories started leaking out about Carson, almost physical confrontations with certain players in the locker room, players talking about how he alienated himself from certain groups of players. And all of a sudden, it just unraveled to the point the Eagles said, okay, we've gone as far with this as we can possibly go. I don't think you'll have that problem with Jalen. I really don't.
No, I don't either. And conversely, you see other guys who maybe were hard workers, who had a lot of the right attributes, that when they get paid, they lose some of that edge. I think he goes the other way. I think he's probably in there even more, which is almost impossible because the guy lives in the place. But, So I'm with you. I thought that was interesting, but I thought it was a really nice ode to Kelsey when he said that. That was the one thing that stood out to him. That was pretty cool. Yeah. The other thing, Derek, a lot of the observations, again, take this for what it's worth because it's OTAs. It's not real. No one's hitting. It's you're going through some things. But we saw him flash a little bit last year. Christian Ellis is a name to keep your eye on. He's a guy, he's got really good size for a linebacker. He's 6'3", 231. If you remember, his father, Luther Ellis, played in the league for a Barrett played with him back in the day with Detroit. But he was on the practice squad. You remember how bad special teams were. They figured we got to change things up a little bit last year. They brought him up. He made an immediate impact, and he got a little bit of time non-special teams and showed some things too. So, I don't know that he's going to take the gig from Nicholas Morrow or Nakobe Dean. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I will tell you this. Nothing's a guarantee and nothing's a done deal. I would just keep your eye on Christian Ellis because I think he's a dude that's in the mix to an extent.
Young guy, 6'3", 230 compared to Morrow being 6 foot 216. We've seen linebackers get smaller and faster in the National Football League. But you're right, Christian Ellis. I don't know how to judge that one, to be honest with you, because outside, even Nakobe Dean, we don't know what he's going to bring to the table.
No.
We hope he shows that flair that he had at Georgia, but we don't know. We haven't seen a great sample of it yet. The whole linebacking core. I mean, and do we classify Hassan Reddick as a stand-up edge rusher or an outside linebacker?
I don't know. I'm not sure they know right now, Derek. I mean, I think they feel good about him, but this isn't, some situation with a totally established guy where there's no question about it.
Right.
Like there's a couple of positions. I think linebacker, I think safety, with Sidney Brown now in the mix there, that anything could happen. We know about right guard. It sounds like if you're reading the tea leaves with the right guard thing, I think it's Juergens to lose. I do, but that's not a guarantee either. If Steen comes in there and just crushes it, but for sure, I think linebacker is up there. The problem, like Morrow's 6 foot 225.
Yep.
Like that's almost safety size. And I know Kaiser White was undersized.
No, it's 6 foot 216.
Yeah, man, that is really light for a linebacker. Yeah. That's light for a college linebacker.
Yeah. Can he hold up against the run, especially on outside sweep runs, stretch runs? Can he hold up? I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, this is his 6th year in the league. The most tackles he's had in the season was last year. He had 116 tackles with the Bears. 83 of those tackles were solo. But having not seen a lot of film of him, how many of those tackles were downfield? How many were the impact tackles at the line of scrimmage? His whole career, he has a grand total of 4 sacks. Tackles for a loss. Let's see here. All right, this is not showing. It's not showing much of anything on tackles for a loss. But
the other part is, Derek, if you're teaming him just by comparison, if you're teaming him with Nakobe, 5'11", 231, Nakobe's got a good 10-15 on him, and all we talk about is how small Nakobe is. That's just like it's a small duo if those two are both out there on the field together.
See, right now, I'm looking at this ESPN.com depth chart, and that means nothing now. But right now, they're on their depth chart, they have Nicholas Morrow, will side, Nakobe Dean middle, Hassan Reddick strong side.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So 1/3 of their linebacking trio, we have a great sample of what he is to this defense. The other 2/3 of that core, huge question mark. Mm-hmm. Huge question mark. Now,
yeah, no question.
We know Nakobe Dean can cover. The man can flat out run.
Oh yeah, sideline to sideline is not going to be a problem.
But can he stuff the run? Can he stand his ground when they're coming right at him and stuff the run, like a TJ Edwards? I don't know, but you got to find out because it's all you got.
Yeah, and look, that's fine. And again, this is part of what camp's for. This is part of what maybe these guys get time in the preseason. I actually think I don't know about Morrow as much. Maybe. I think you're going to see some Nakobe in preseason game. I do.
I would agree with you because
Yeah.
of his lack of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, behind those three, you have Christian Ellis, Sean Bradley, Nolan Smith. So it doesn't get much deeper or better in terms of proven talent.
Yeah, you're young there. You're definitely just young there. I mean,
You're young across the board. You know, outside of Reddick, you're young across the board at your linebacking position.
Mhm.
So you're going to go through some growing pains. And the one area the Eagles had problems was last year defending the run and defending the pass in the middle of the field.
Right.
You know, how will that inexperience come into play in terms of knowing where you're supposed to be at all times? And obviously, better coordinators, better quarterbacks are going to try to expose that.
You know what it is too, Derek? It's also where your guys up front really need to make an impact and, you know, allow these guys to not have to fend off big, gigantic offensive linemen. You know what I mean? Like, that's really where Jordan Davis on a run play has got to occupy a couple blockers and allow your linebackers to make plays. And the thing with Nakobe Dean is, and I don't know as much about Morrow. To be frank, I didn't lock in on him during his Bears career that much. I know the guy made plays, a ton of plays at a high level. And I know college is not the NFL, but if you're playing it at the highest of levels, which he was 2 years ago, when he was at Georgia, he was the best defensive player on the team. So, you know, the track record's pretty good with this guy. And I, even though they tend to ignore that position sometimes, I think they probably would have brought somebody in by now if they didn't trust him to some degree. I would think, you know.
I'd say yes and no, because we've seen how he do this. We've seen how he bring people in during the OTAs, and then they'll wait and get a better look, a better sample size in training camp. Wait until they go against other teams in scrimmages, and wait until preseason games are played before they add up all the pluses and minuses to make a decision. I don't know if the linebacking core is finalized as we see it right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know from their perspective, they hope it is, so they don't have to make any unnecessary moves. But as we sit here, the commodities are not proven for the most part. You know, again, Morrow had you know, he's past the century mark in tackles, but what does that even mean? If he was that good of a tackler, I mean, he wasn't really a high-priced individual in Chicago. Why did the Bears let him go?
Right.
It's the same thing I told you in Barrett last fall. You know, everybody got caught up. Yeah, Robert Quinn had 18 and a half sacks the year before. And I said, pump the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why the Bears let him go. And sure enough, he was in a witness protection program here.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know.
Did he even sign on with anybody, by the way?
I haven't seen him sign on with anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know exactly what Morrow brings to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kazir White started out great. He was a smaller outside linebacker. Kazir White started out great, and all of a sudden, the more the season wore on, the more he faded.
Yeah, he did. He did. You're right.
You know, basically faded into oblivion. So I don't know. You know, I think Nakobe Dean has all the physical attributes to be a really good inside backer, even though he's smaller. We've seen the smaller backers, Pittsburgh, other teams, Tampa Bay, smaller inside backers do great things. But you got to see it. You got to see it. What does it look like in Sean Desai's and Matt Patricia's defensive concepts? You got to see it.
I hear you. And I think safety is interesting because Edmonds clearly experienced, played a long time with the Steelers, but you do wonder why would the Steelers let him walk? Then you go to Reed Blankenship. At least he had the opportunity last year to you know, due to some of the injuries, to get time and play. That said, neither one is entrenched here. And if Sidney Brown makes that kind of impact, and this may not happen, this could be a midway through the season kind of thing, but he makes that kind of impact, he could get a, you know, a starting gig. You're right, though, Derek, to point out if there's any GM in football who's active literally up until and including the regular season, Towie. So if either one of these positions you can see are lagging behind the other position, if you're saying to yourself, man, the defensive line's killing it, look at what the corners are doing, but, you know, safeties and linebacker, man, they're going to pick it up. He'll make a move. He is not afraid to make a move. And they have tons of picks next year. So he's got surplus to be dealing out of, you know?
I guarantee you, Howie, right now, even as we speak, is sitting behind closed doors looking at his roster, listening to the waiver wires, watching the waiver wires, engaged in phone calls in terms of possibilities, anything they can do to make this roster better than what it is. He's already doing it now and will continue to do it through training camp. That's Howie. I always joke with Howie, man, do you even sleep or do you just plug in a wall socket and recharge?
Yeah.
Is nonstop with him. And I understand that. He's committed to this team being the best it can possibly be each and every season. Over the last few years, they have put themselves in great positions to draft a better quality of player, to keep this machine rolling, as well as getting younger. You look at it, they had 2 first-round picks this year. They're going to have a multitude of picks next year. They're in a great position again, because I don't think in any way, shape, or form Howie will use all of those picks to draft next year. I think he will try to package some of those picks to move up, whether it's just the second or third rounds. I think he will use some of those picks to try to move up to get a better spot to get a player that they have high on their board. They may still be on the board, which could be shocking, which always happens. There's always players left on the board when teams put their boards together. They visualize a player going at a certain spot, and players drop, plain and simple. N'Kobe Dean, prime example.
Nolan Smith. They did.
Smith.
Derek, I don't think they intended to use their 30th. What were they? Favorite 30, weren't they? They didn't intend to use that 30th pick this year. I really believe that. He probably was going to trade down into the second round or try and get some of those, middle ground picks that they didn't have. But all of a sudden, you see some guy that talented dropping, plans change. Just the way it is.
So, and the thing is, the way the defensive front, the cornerbacks, and at least one of the safeties is structured now, you have a bubble around your linebacking core that can help cover a lot of the deficiencies that you might have at linebacker, whatever they may be. And, of course, moving Avonte Maddox to the slot is a tremendous help as well.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of times they play 5 DBs. You might see, 5-man front, 2 linebackers, and I can see Avonte Maddox playing like a hybrid linebacking role as well as playing a slot corner role, depending on what Sean Desai, Matt Patricia decide to call a certain day. How many times they want to blitz. Now, Sean Desai has already said he does not have a high blitzing defense, which is not what a lot of fans want to hear. But if it's an effective defense, I think people will get over that real quick.
Yeah, I agree. I just think we also have to just let it play out a little bit. Let's see what it looks like with what Desai wants to do, how different maybe this is from what they did last year. And I see Brian Lippincott bring this up. I don't know. Here's the thing, Brian. You better hope you're not picking high enough to get Jeremiah Trotter Jr. next year if you're the Eagles. That means you had a pretty bad year because that kid's going real high. I think he may be the number 1 linebacker coming out. So we'll see. I know there's some talk about trying to get Patrick Queen from some folks in the chat. And I hear you with that. I know it hasn't worked out particularly well there in Baltimore. I don't know how much of that is systematic or how much of that is him, quite frankly. So I think that's an option. Like all this stuff's on the table for sure with this team. And how he's open to this stuff. We know that he's an aggressive GM.
If anybody can pull it off, make it work financially, it's Howie Roseman. No matter, look at how much they were up against the cap last year, and they brought in these veterans. They brought in Ndamukong Suh. They brought in Linval Joseph. You didn't think they could make these moves. Now, these guys came in here at a decent veteran rate, which really helped. They were one-year wonders in terms of Ndamukong Suh said, I want to get one more ring for one of my other sons. So I have 2 rings for my 2 sons. Okay, it didn't work out. Came close, but didn't work out. Who knows? He could be back here again this year.
I agree with you.
You never know.
I agree with you 100%. And I think one of the things that makes this season so fascinating is we know they're a good team. We know there's a lot of pieces in place from last year that helped get this team to a Super Bowl that won 14 games, that rolled through, quite frankly, a lot of the regular season. But there's enough unknowns going into the year at certain positions. Guys who were either here last year didn't get a chance, guys who were rookies who may be able to step in and play. and a new coordinator on both sides of the ball that really makes this kind of an unknown in some ways, and they're in a very competitive division. If you we did this a couple weeks back, Derek, we ranked the divisions, right? And if you look at the NFC East, I'm trying to remember where I think I had it second and you might have had it third, right? I think you went AFC East, AFC North, and then NFC East, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the order you went, I think? I'm trying to remember. I think that's what you went. I think I went AFC East, NFC East, and then AFC North. But I think you had the North just ahead of the NFC East, I think.
I believe I did.
Yeah, but regardless, I think all three of those divisions are really close. And there's a real extreme because you go from that to like what the NFC South is. Yep. There's a big drop off, man.
And as I look as I sit here now, if I had to say which one is the toughest now, I still have to say it's the AFC East right now.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
I would have to go AFC East.
A lot of the AFC East is contingent on Tua's health and how much New England's offense bounces back. It's a big part of this. Like, I think the Jets with Rodgers are dangerous now, really dangerous. And, the Bills, even though they come up a little bit short, are still really good. But look, you're not – that North, man, the AFC North, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, if Deshaun Watson, it gets back to Deshaun Watson form and Kenny Pickett's legit, we could be talking about them as the best division.
Would you put the AFC North ahead of the AFC West?
Yes. Here's why. Because I still don't. I think I don't trust the Raiders a little bit. And it just feels like the Chargers always figure out a way to shoot themselves in the foot. So I would say, yeah, but AFC West is nothing to sneeze at.
Okay, so I would say right now, as we know it, the Raiders in the West and the Browns in the North are the two bottom dwellers in those divisions. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Then it comes down to which team do you think is better, the Raiders or the Browns?
I think the Browns. I do. I think the Browns. I
don't disagree.
I just think last year was chaos for them. And it was a losing proposition no matter what. Look, they made the decision to go after Watson, whatever, but there were too many after effects, and him missing 11 games, and there was just a lot that went on. I think that I think Stefanski's a good coach, and I think he's on a hot seat, but I think he's a good coach. I don't know what Josh McDaniels is as a head coach. I know he's a good offensive coordinator, but I don't know that he's a good head coach in Vegas. I don't know that. I like Stefanski better than I like Josh McDaniels.
Do you?
That way. Yeah, I do.
I don't disagree with you. Don't disagree with you. But can Stefanski bring it all together? Deshaun Watson will now have a full season in Stefanski's offense. Looking at who his weapons are, we talked about this. Okay, Nick Chubb, one of the premier backs. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Marquise Goodwin, Cedric Tillman, and tight end David Njoku. That's not a bad collection.
That's pretty good.
All right. Then we go to the Raiders. Depending on the status of Jimmy Garoppolo's foot injury, Josh Jacobs, who is a rushing champion this year.
And he's on a tag. He's in a tag year. He may be a free agent. He's going to want to play well.
But you look at the supporting cast here: Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, tight end Austin Hooper, backup. Oh my goodness, I forgot all these guys are not making this team. There's no way. They got Cam Sims, who I thought was an up and coming receiver when he was in Washington. They have Philip Dorsett. They have Keelan Cole and DeAndre Carter.
Yeah, a couple of those guys are no shot.
There's no way all these guys are making that team. No. But that's a nice collection to have, man. So to me, it comes down to defense with both teams.
And they were terrible in close games too.
Yes.
Last year.
Yes. They were terrible in close games, which cost them. Chandler Jones and Max Crosby can play on my defense any day of the week. Marcus Epps is a starting safety for them now.
Yeah.
And I like Marcus Epps. But how is he going to fit in that scheme? It remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions there with them. Let's put it
I like Cleveland's personnel on defense.
I do too. I mean, I think that they arguably have the most dominant. Well, he's in the top 3 defensive ends in terms of getting to the quarterback since he came into the league. You know, he's right there with every conversation with Bosa and Watt and any of those guys.
He tied for second. He tied for second in quarterback sacks last year. He's probably been the most consistent defensive player in the last few years. I mean, their defense, man. I mean, Myles Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith, they just picked up. If his back injury holds up, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Greg Newsome II. Rodney McLeod is Rodney McLeod's a backup on that defense.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough, man. It's really tough when you stack it up. Now you say obviously the AFC West has the edge because you have Kansas City at the top of the hill.
Yep.
But in terms of just overall toughness in division, we know the AFC North is always considered more of a black and blue division. You know, the AFC West is more of an air show type division.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to lean towards the AFC North when we stack up everything. I got to give them an edge in terms of a tougher road to hoe to get to where you want to go.
But if you look at the NFC East, so last year you had 3. You could make a case Washington with Bieniemy. I get it. The quarterback thing is a major question, but with the talent that they have, adding Bieniemy, that's a really Dable in his second year. Eagles were the defending NFC champions, and the Cowboys adding Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. Man, that's a nasty division.
Yes.
So that's the other thing. That's the other thing we have to take into account too when we're looking at this Eagles season. Like, they're in a really hard division. I know they were last year too, but still.
I still think it's a 2-horse race in the NFC East with the Eagles and the Cowboys. I really do. And anybody who thinks the Cowboys are just going to be pushovers for the Eagles, you haven't been watching what happens between those two.
Yeah.
It's that Dak Prescott could go 0 for 17, but his best stats are going to be against the Eagles. The 2 games he plays the Eagles if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Those 2 games. So that's why we said yesterday, I believe they're going to split, their 2 games. And it may be weird enough that the Dallas wins here and the Eagles win down there.
It could be. Yeah, look, it certainly. I mean, and we know how hard it is to win the division back-to-back years. Yeah. Almost 20 years since it's happened. So it's been a long time. All right, let's get a quickie in, Derek. Let's keep the Eagles talk rolling. We got a lot to get into. Did you hear Andy Reid breaking down the White House menu?
No.
And what they were fed?
Well, what sport was it that was fed? One year, wasn't it McDonald's or something like that?
Yeah, somebody got really no, they rolled out the red carpet for the Chiefs, and Andy Reid was very appreciative. I'll let you hear it. I'll tell you what he said. You'll appreciate this as a foodie. What he had to say. So we'll get into all of that when we come back. But by the way, today we're going to do best receiver trios in the NFL. Can't include the tight end. Okay. So it's got to be wide receivers. We'll do that in our NFL segment. Mentioned Greg Murphy's going to hop on at 1 to talk some Phils. They're rolling 5 straight. They get the Dodgers, and Jose Alvarado is going to be activated tonight, Derek. So they get a big bullpen piece. Yep. Big bullpen piece comes back. So we'll get into all of that when we return. So you don't want to go anywhere. We got plenty in store. We will talk some Sixers as well and where their offseason may be headed. Also birthdays, movies, all that good stuff. All right. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right. It's Friday, and I will be headed to Bravo Pizza of Havertown in a mere about 4.5 hours from now to pick up some dinner. Yes. Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Thrilled that they are a part of the JAKIB Sports YouTube network as well as Sports Take. I've been going there since I was a kid. They've been family owned since 1985. Alex and the crew just do an amazing job day in and day out. Fresh food, flour flown in from Italy. Yes. Bravo Pizza offers 20 different styles of pizza. They have slices to go. I love the upside down. It's my go-to. But they have the you name it, we'll make it. Yes, right. Specialized pizza, however you want it done, they will do it for you. And they don't just have pizza. You're not up for pizza? All right. Fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads. They really have it all. Bravo Pizza is also committed to the community, fundraisers for charities, for schools, for little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You could follow them on Instagram and Facebook at the Bravo Pizza of Havertown. You got specials on there. You got promotions. You got the menu, any kind of information that you may need. They're at 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown, Pennsylvania. That's 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. Give them a call, 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810. Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
For the big story on Action News,
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Back Friday. What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. If you miss any of the show, you can always go back, go to JAKIBsports.com, JAKIB, JAKIBsports.com, and check it out. And you can also go to JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. You can watch entire shows, segments, guests, etc. We're going to have Greg Murphy coming up at 1 o'clock. We got Fitness Rebel checking in. What's up, Fitness Rebel?
She finally checked in.
My Gunner was worried about you.
Oh,
yes, absolutely. All right, you want to hear the White House menu breakdown from your boy Andy?
You know
Andy
how I
Reid?
like my food.
Okay. All right, listen. So he says they were there yesterday, right? Or I'm sorry, earlier in the week.
Wednesday?
Earlier in the week, yeah. So in regards to the food that they laid out, he said, quote, they did some really good stuff. They had I never had this before, a French toast, grilled cheese, and ham sandwich that they sprinkled with a little powdered sugar.
Huh?
That's different. And he said, I mean, it was phenomenal. There was an abundance of this, and they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers to boot. And then maybe the best part they had, which I hadn't seen before, little bite-sized squares of the heart of the watermelon. He said, my hat went off to the chef. I went back in and talked to him. I just go, you guys are unbelievable. Whoever cut all that out with the patience to do that, my hat goes off to them. He was as enthusiastic as he ever was about talking about a play that he had drawn up, Derek. It was unbelievable.
As good of a coach as Andy Reid is, I don't know of a food group that doesn't appeal to Andy Reid. And for him to give a breakdown of the meal like that, he must have loved it. Yes. But I'm trying to think of a French grilled ham and cheese with sugar sprinkled on it.
I don't know. The sugar part threw me off a little. Like,
what?
It feels like there's a lot going on there with that, doesn't it?
You know, sometimes people get a little bit too creative.
Yeah, we don't always need to put 10 things into one. You know what I mean?
Man. I mean, that's probably a bad day at the buffet line for you. I mean, for a guy who eats a hamburger with no cheese, dry Cheerios, that's probably gross to you, man.
Yeah, it didn't. But the funniest part was just the way Andy went into detail for me. But yeah, like that's not one that's really appealing. All right, so it's one more time. It's French toast, grilled cheese, and ham sandwich sprinkled with powdered sugar. Like that feels like a lot.
French toast, grilled cheese, grilled ham and cheese.
With
so basically it's a French toast because a lot of people like to put powdered sugar on French toast. Anytime I get French toast, especially if I go to a better,
that'll be on there already. Yeah,
and I always tell them, I said I want my French toast plain.
Yes,
everybody likes to sprinkle. So basically, you took French toast and put a piece of ham and some cheese in between it. That's what you did.
I guess so. Yeah.
See, that's too much. That's too much even for me.
Well, if it's too much for you, we know it's too much for me. Yeah.
I don't want ham and cheese. I love my ham and cheese, but I don't want it in my French toast. Yeah. I don't want powdered sugar on my French toast.
Yeah.
All I want is my French toast with a little melted butter on it and some Mrs. Butterworth syrup. That's all I need.
It's got to be Mrs. Butterworth.
I used to be a log cabin person, but I've expanded my palate. Okay. There's no syrup better than Mrs. Butterworth.
I like that he went back to compliment the chef. He felt the need to go into the kitchen and tell him what a
Can you imagine what that meant to the chef to see the Super Bowl winning MVP head coach walk in your kitchen?
Yeah, you're right. That's pretty cool. That's not an everyday occurrence. Let's put it that way.
That's got to be a treat for the chef. As much as Andy Reid appreciated that, that's got to be an extreme treat for the chef, unless the chef is not a football fan.
That would be pretty funny if he was like, who is this man in my kitchen right now? I have no idea. It's possible, but that's pretty funny.
You see, I'm looking at people saying, oh no, powdered sugar, my French toast, or vanilla, Fly Parks, vanilla extract, cinnamon, all I need for French toast. Nah, see, it's got to be a little syrup, got to be a little butter on it. That's all I need.
I'm always thrown off. Sugar. I'm thrown off by like the sweet and sour or the sweet and salty combos sometimes. Like people want to do crazy stuff with bacon. I don't need all that done. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm good. It's good enough as it is.
Speaking of bacon, I don't like the restaurants that somewhat undercook the bacon to where when you hold it like this, it pops over.
When it's
bacon's got to stand up. I don't want to like our buddy Marshall Harris. He loves his bacon extra crispy, which means it's borderline burnt.
I'm with Marcus. Who'd you say, Marshall?
No, Marshall Harris.
I'm with Marshall.
No, see, I want my bacon crisp. Like the way I do my bacon is crisp, but it's a golden color. See, it doesn't have to be. Then I don't want it flopping over. And it doesn't have to be almost on the dark side of bacon.
You just have to stay on bacon. Like it's not one you could just throw in and just start doing laundry. You got to stay on.
Come on, man.
No, I'm with you. Like if it's even borderline rubbery, I can't eat it. It skeeves me. I'm out.
See, James Warner, you know what? That is perfectly stated. Bacon is the candy bar of meats. That you can't put it any better than that. That's it. Right there.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
The candy bar of meats. I like that. I'm going to use that line, by the way. I'm going to use that.
That is a good line. All right. So we're talking about the Eagles and some of the position battles and safety, linebacker, that guard spot we know are pretty much up in the air. Let me ask you about the third wide receiver spot. Now, the reason I bring it up is Nick Sirianni has been very complimentary of Quez Watkins. I'm not saying it's insincere or it's not true or anything like that. I'm sure Quez is having a good camp thus far or off season thus far. But I also remember, I think they were at the owners' meetings and Nick was like out of his mind about Trey Sermon. Do you remember this?
Yep.
Meanwhile, they went out and they got Rashad Penny and they got DeAndre Swift. So he must not love him that much. So that's where I'm going with this. Okay. And by the way, Chris D checks in how she thick, cut, and crisp. Yes. Her favorite is Scrapple. Yeah. She likes Scrapple. It's not my cup of tea, but hey, I get it. It's a Philly thing.
Have you ever had Scrapple?
Yeah. My dad ate a lot of Scrapple when I was growing up.
I didn't ask you that. I said, have you had Scrapple?
I tried it when I was little. Like the smell, honestly, the smell or the sight of it doesn't sit. I'm out.
I love you like family, but you can never come to my house for a meal.
I know.
You're barred. You have to sit
I admit it's me. It's me. It's not everybody else. It's me. It's a me problem, not a you guys problem.
I'm with Chris D. I love thick cut bacon.
I like that too.
Hickory smoked or applewood bacon. So good. Now, like I said, I've tried Scrapple. Like, it's okay. When I was a kid, occasionally my dad and they would fry up Spam, which is basically like Scrapple.
Yeah.
It was okay, but as I got older, I realized what was in it and have never had Spam since. As far as Scrapple, when I first moved to this region, that's all I heard was Scrapple this, Scrapple for breakfast, Scrapple. Most of your steak shops sell a Scrapple sandwich, breakfast sandwich. And I told you, I got to a point where I was going to try some Scrapple. And I loved watching that show, Dirtiest Jobs, with Mike Rowe. You ever watch that show?
Yep. I love Mike Rowe. Yeah.
And I don't know, it was a summer day. This is, my goodness, maybe 15 years ago, something like 10, 15 years ago. It was a summer day. I'm vacuuming the family room carpet and I'm cleaning up and stuff. And Dirtiest Job has to be on. It was like, how those channels sometimes will put back-to-back episodes on it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when I flipped the TV on the Dirtiest Job, they were doing, Mike Rowe was at some Scrapple place in Delaware.
Okay.
And so I stopped what I was doing and watched to see how Scrapple was made. I said, that is the confirmation I needed. I will not be trying Scrapple.
Oh, I hear you.
Now, we all eat foods that we love, and you find out where they come from, and you say, I've been eating them so long, I'm not changing. I love it. But I try everything. I'll try everything once. I can't eat Scrapple, dude.
I got you.
Can't do
it. So, but back to Quez here.
Yeah.
Sincere in your estimation that he's going to be the 3. How much is, Olamide Zaccheaus into that mix? How much could this be another position that they look to maybe upgrade at that spot once you get beyond, your obvious top 2, your starters? What are you thinking there?
I look at Zaccheaus 5'8", $193. Yep. So he's not that much difference in size and stuff as the guy they had last year. Here's what I think. I think Nick Sirianni is doing everything possible to give Quez Watkins another chance because you see the physical attributes there, the speed, the size, the ability to separate. He's exactly what you need in terms of a guy to stretch the field. The only thing he has to work on is securing the football and focusing and becoming more physical in terms of getting off press coverage and winning the 50-50 balls. I think Sirianni is doing everything possible to pump him up, to enhance his confidence, and let him know that, look, this is all about you. How bad do you want it? You know how you are perceived on the outside looking in. We don't agree with them. We think that you are much better than what has transpired in your career. What do you want to do with it? That's all the motivation Quez Watkins should need to take his game to that next level. He has all the physical attributes, everything else you need to take it to that next level, except securing the football at crucial times of a game.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really up to him at this point. Like, I think they want him to win the job. I think that he brings something to the table in terms of that game breaking speed, easy for me to say, that maybe isn't there. So but I think it's going to be a short leash for him. I think that's where this comes into play, Derek, where it's like, if we're not seeing some improvement, if there's a couple of drops, he's another guy who I think will play in preseason games, then I think things could change. Then I think there could be a move made or somebody, takes a spot.
SC Fly Park says, Gunner, you got in Quez's head last season. Don't blame that on me. I got nothing to do with that. That's all on Quez, man. But Quez could be a dynamic number 3 receiver. But I don't want him to be another John Hightower, a flash in the pan, a Jalen Reagor. I want to see, because I think Quez has better abilities than both of those guys, Hightower and Reagor. But you've got to show it. You've shown it sporadically, but you've got to be more consistent. In an offense like this, you want to be as unpredictable as possible in terms of where they're going with the football. When it becomes obvious that they're not looking your way, then that takes away one of the surprise elements of attacking a defense. And I think you got to get back to that. You know what? Make a DB play 7 to 10 yards off of you because they're so afraid if you get a step on them, they can't stay with you step for step.
Right.
You got to show them that they can't control you at the line of scrimmage and press coverage. You got to show them that you have a newfound ability to fight for the ball and win more than you lose in those 50-50 balls. You've got to. It's not that hard. You've been doing this most of your life. You've just got to enhance it. And we're giving you every chance possible to prove your doubters wrong. This is all about you now. What are you going to do with it?
Well, you're right. This is where it's at. Like, he doesn't deliver this year, he's not going to be an Eagle next year. I can guarantee you that. He's just not. I mean, it's just the way it is right now. I would say if I'm looking at anything else, not necessarily as a starter, but where you could, guy could maybe make a move to get into the mix. I'm looking a little bit at defensive end. But it's a little bit convoluted because, I mean, let's face it, Hassan Reddick is basically a defensive end. We call them edges, whatever we want to call it. But if you look at guys who are going to play that spot, it's going to be Hassan Reddick. It's going to be Brandon Graham. It's going to be Josh Sweat. It's going to be Nolan Smith. And then Derek Barnett battling to make make the team. I'd have to look at what the cap hit is if they cut him, but he's, I don't think anything's really a given there with him. And then it's kind of like the Taron Jacksons of the world. It's the Matt Leos of the world, guys who are just trying to be depth players at those spots. But did you realize that Keely Ringo is the only unsigned Eagle right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he was sitting out watching practice yesterday. He's one of the only unsigned. Like, if I'm him and his agent, dude, what are you doing? Get this thing done.
The money's slotted. You're not getting much more. I don't know if you're trying to get more guaranteed money out of whatever you're doing. You need to be in there, dude. You got to get in there.
Like, that's just, I'm sorry. That's where you as the player have to say to the agent, get this done. I need to be in there. Like, I can't be missing anything at this point.
But for a young player, you know what he's thinking? The agent's telling him, look, just let me handle this. We'll get this done. Let me handle this. A veteran player will say, dude, if the money's not going to be that much different, you know what? Get this thing wrapped up. I need to get in there and start working. Yeah. The young player solely relies on his veteran representation to get him the best deal they can possibly get.
I guess, but it's at the end of the day, they work for you. And I know you're young, and I get it. You're 21, 22, and that's a hard thing to realize, but you're hurting yourself here, man. I'm telling you.
Yep.
You're not helping. And
if you're as good as you can make up that time by training camp, but it's just that you start further down the depth chart when you're holding out like this. You've missed 6 days of valuable installation.
Right.
Even though it's just walked through and a lot of half-speed stuff, there's a lot of information, verbal information that you're missing right now, which is going to put you behind everybody else when you guys, reconvene for training camp.
Exactly right. Exactly. All right, let's get a timeout. We'll come back. We will talk to Greg Murphy. We'll talk some Phils, man. 5 in a row for the Phillies as we head into a giant weekend with the Dodgers. Can't wait for tonight's game. So we'll talk to Murph about all things Phillies and his great honor last night. We will get into all those kind of things when we come back. Don't go anywhere. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you right now about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances is paramount. You work way too hard not to have the right person helping you out with that. And I can tell you from personal experience, I found the right person with Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You have a small business, you're trying to get your employee benefits off the ground. That's another resource that Jim can help you with. I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751, or online. You can actually email at Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hour number 2 of the program. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take on this Friday, JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Let's turn our sights to the Phils. 5 in a row, D Gunn. And who better to talk to about the Philadelphia Phillies than the man who does their pre- and post-game shows for the Phillies radio network. And you follow him on Twitter at GMurphPhils. That would be Greg Murphy. Murph, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm great, guys. How you doing?
Murph, we're starting here. Before we get to the Phillies, Gunner, last night, correct me if I'm wrong, Murph, you were awarded the Visionary Award from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. In just 10 weeks, Derek, listen to this. Murph and his crew raised $142,642, and that money goes directly toward blood cancer research. Murph, correct?
As you nailed it, Rob, and it really, was a team effort. I was blessed to have family and friends, join me along this 10-week campaign, and so many of our friends in the business, our colleagues from different TV stations, radio stations, and whatnot, helped us get the word out. And we were able to raise that money, and it was a special night. It all culminated last night. A terrific honor, and most importantly, all that money is going to go to research, which is a big reason why I'm in remission right now. And I've said this a couple of times throughout this 10-week period, but in 1993, the survival rate for my particular kind of cancer was 5 in 10. It is now 9 in 10. Wow. And that's thanks to medical breakthroughs. And so the work that the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society does directly here in the greater Philadelphia area is just awesome. So I was proud to be a part of it, and really excited to have it all culminate last night.
Nice work,
Murph. I'm not surprised one bit that you were able to raise this kind of money, knowing you, knowing your character, knowing how people respect you and love you in this region. But when you achieve that goal, isn't it humbling? Did you go in? Did you go in having a set goal and amount you wanted to make? And I have to ask you the obvious question. Did what you raised even surprise you?
Oh, well, yes. Yes to all of the questions. First of all, unbelievably humbling. It was very much out of my comfort zone to go and be the face of this, fundraising campaign. It's not something I'm real comfortable with, but that said, the team around me was able to really help with that. I set a goal for our team at $75,000, and we raised 142 plus. Yes, shocked at every level. Every time the donation would come in and our total would rise, I just would look around and say, "This is unbelievable." There are so many good people out there, people I've never even met, that donated. Whether it was $25 or $1,000, we had both. It was just incredible. And every little bit added up to that total. And I'm just incredibly grateful for it.
Murph, is there a place that people can contribute, continue to contribute or donate or to find some more information or anything like that?
Well, if anyone wants to continue, to donate, just LLS.org. Leukemia Lymphoma Society, LLS.org. The campaign is over, so there are no more donations specifically to us. There were 10 candidates that were nominated, so you can't directly at this point, but certainly, it's an amazing organization that just does terrific work in and around the area. So.
Good, man. All right, awesome.
So how are you feeling these days? How are you doing health-wise and stuff?
Gunnar, I'm doing really well. I'm feeling as good as I've felt in a year and a half right now. So knock on wood. I think things are certainly headed in the right direction.
Love it, Murph. Love hearing that. Look, great stuff on on the real front, but in the toy department, it's good too, right? 5 straight wins for the Phils here, and we're seeing it in a lot of different ways, Murph. I think first and foremost, the starting pitching has really settled in, which is absolutely what had to happen for this team, right? On a million fronts. But, guys contributing. Cody Clemens last night. Schwarber appears more comfortable in the leadoff spot, and maybe that's kickstarted him a little bit. Turner turning the page slowly here and there. Harper with the monster leadoff double, last night in the 9th. I love that. It's a lot of different places here where guys are contributing here and getting them going.
Yeah, I've said it a couple of times on the pre and post game show over the last couple of days, and that is in this particular streak, because we've had 6 other ones, whether they be winning streaks or losing streaks. But this particular 5-gamer, we have gotten 5 straight games at this point with really good pitching, pretty good timely hitting for the most part, although last night we waited until the 9th inning, and some good defense as well. So, obviously, with a good team, a talented team, if you do all those things, you're going to win a lot of games.
Right.
We hadn't been seeing that, right? There was always an aspect that wasn't clicking, whether it be starting pitching or the offense or poor defense. So this particular stretch has really been great to see. Now, it's a small sample size for the starters, but 5 straight starts, really good quality starts, including the bullpen game. They'll be able to skip that bullpen game now because of the day off. And they've got their rotation set up pretty nicely for the Dodgers. So they have some paybacks for those guys from LA who aren't playing particularly well right now. So hopefully the guys can do some stuff starting this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, Murph, between Rob and I take the more cynical approach.
Come on, Gunner.
That word is not in Murph's vocabulary, first of all. You need to define that word. Murph doesn't even know what that word means, cynical.
I'll look it up.
I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. They beat the tar out of Washington and Detroit, which is what they were supposed to do. Detroit just went 0 for 6 on this road trip that they're on right now. But Rob and I were talking about this yesterday, and he asked me what I thought, and I said, I cannot formulate a definitive opinion of what these Phillies are or are not until they get to the All-Star break. And I said that because I'm looking at what they have facing them after this Detroit series. You've got to get your measure of revenge against the likes of the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. And then the Mets. I mean, people are irate with the Mets, but the Mets are still the Mets in terms they have the largest payroll in the history of Major League Baseball right now. Yeah. And we know what they did against the Phillies. Then you play your last 6 games against the best team in all of baseball and a Miami team that's a thorn in your side. So I joked with Rob in May because Rob was about to pull his hair out with the way they were playing in May. And I said, Rob, wait until June. All right, June's here. We finally see Schwarber's back in the leadoff. Schwarber's hitting bombs. They're beating the teams they're supposed to, but I can't give this team that grace until I see them get through these landmines they've got to face between now and the time they hit the All-Star break.
Yeah, look, Gunnar, I think everything you say is fair for sure. You're right. They're playing well against bad teams, which you need to do. I mean, Everybody needs to do that to get to the postseason, right? You need to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. But yes, they need to play well against the better teams. Now, if history says anything, they do play well against better teams, with the exception of the New York Mets. Put them aside because for whatever reason, they can't beat the Mets right now. And until they start beating the Mets consistently, we have to continue to say that. But last year, if you go back about teams with over 500 records, the Phillies played very well against those teams. Yeah. And that's what you have to hope is going to start happening. And I will also say they certainly play better at home to the Phillies, as most teams do. And we have played the fewest home games in all of Major League Baseball. I think, don't hold me to this number, but I think we've only played about 27 home games, maybe 28 at this point. Whereas everybody else is probably closer to that 40 mark at this point. So there is something to be said for that. Now, at the end of the day, here are the Dodgers in front of you, a very good team here at home. So you need to win this series. Go out and win 2 out of 3. You have your pitching pretty much lined up the way that you would hope, with the exception of Wheeler. And they need to start, and they need to start now. I would totally agree with you. These streaks are great, but consistency is much more important, and that's what they're striving.
Yeah, well said, Murph. Yeah, you're right. You're right on it. 27 home games as compared to 35 on the road so far.
Yeah.
So no doubt. Well, look, let's talk about one of the guys who, frankly, Murph, I'll borrow a phrase from Derek. I was very cynical about him going into the season, and it was Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's the guy, if you think about it, all right, who's a Philly All-Star if we had to say it right now on June 10th, 9th, whatever we're at? It's Castellanos. And he's done everything. And I actually think he's played a pretty darn good right field also for them for the most part. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but he's made some clutch plays out there. But he's been their most consistent hitter all year by a long stretch. And you're seeing that's the career pattern with him, Murph. It's real good. It's and then it's real good again. And we know last year what it was and what it is this year. He's been awesome.
Yeah, and the generally comes in his first year with the team.
Yeah.
If you go back, because now there's a pattern now for Nick Castellanos. I don't think Nick ever, and this has been talked about a lot. This is not breaking ground, but I don't think Nick ever felt completely comfortable in his own skin last year, or maybe by September he started to, and I think we saw that, right? He started to kind of come out of it in late September, played pretty well in the postseason. So, but this year he arrived. He's a different person. He's a different person, on the bus and on the plane. He's a different person in that clubhouse. He's just a different guy. And I think most of it is because he's really feeling comfortable now as a Philadelphia Philly. And that it translates to the field for him, and watching Nick Castellanos with the Detroit Tigers. I remember sitting, I think it was like 2013, and we were out in Detroit, and I remember being in the camera well and just watching Nick hit gap shot after gap shot. And I'm like, this guy is one of the best hitters in baseball, right? And he continued that way in Detroit, then ended up in Cincinnati. First year struggled a bit, but second year, again, here he is, right around 300 doubles and home runs, and he's just an outstanding hitter. So what happened last year to me was the anomaly. That was the outlier. And what's happening this year is Nick Castellanos, the baseball player that when Dave Dombrowski signed him, he thought he was getting. And I'm not shocked by this. In fact, I said to people, I think the best bet you can make going into 2023 is lay all your money that Nick Castellanos has a bounce back season, because he's just too good. And that cliche about the back of the bubblegum card kind of thing, it's a cliche for a reason, right? It often does play out that way. And I'm thrilled to see it for him, but I can't say I'm overly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Murph, I'm surprised to you then that we're sitting here talking about a Trey Turner hitting 237 and second on the team in strikeouts with 65 at this point.
Yeah, shocked by that, honestly, Gunnar, because here's another guy. You look at his track record, and he isn't a guy he's changed teams before too, and he's never been a guy that has struggled like this. Now, he's never gotten off to great starts. Well, not never, but often doesn't get off to great starts. But here we are, 2 weeks into June, and he's still not quite the Trey Turner that we expected. I still believe he will be at some point, and I do think he's starting to come out of it, striking out a lot less, barreling up a lot more balls than he was. But that said, I don't think we're getting the Trey Turner that everyone expected quite yet. The only thing I can say from an optimistic standpoint, because I tend to look at it that way, is if he's going to get to the back of his bubblegum card, right? He's at 230 or whatever he is.
237.
Right now. He's going to have a hell of a summer. So, and maybe we can, enjoy that. So he's probably not going to get to that 300 level, but if he can get back up to 280, that's a lot of hits in the next couple of months. So here's hoping. I would expect it's going to be somewhere around there when it's all said and done.
Murph, go back to the starting pitching. Suarez tonight, 2 straight really good outings from him, 13 2/3, just 3 runs in those 2 starts. Wheeler, unbelievable last night. Nola, I know it's been up and down, but pitched well in his last outing. It looks like, and Walker as well. I should add him in that game that went by in like the blink of an eye on Tuesday.
Yes, it sure did.
You got to be loving that, by the way.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
This is what has to happen, frankly. I mean, they're getting what has to happen here, because you couldn't keep up this pace of killing the bullpen and asking the bats to score you 7 or 8 or whatever. And again, I know who it was against, but at least it looks like some confidence is starting to be gained by those guys.
Yeah. When we came into the season, I think a lot of us looked at that starting rotation of the 4 as a real strength of this team. And it hasn't been. They've been amongst the bottom of Major League Baseball for most of the season. And to your point, Rob, it's been some really good starts and some really bad ones, as opposed to kind of in the middle. Certainly we know that Wheeler and Aaron Nola have the ability to go out there on any given night and go 8 innings and keep the other team under 2 runs. And it's just they're those kinds of pitchers. And I think Ranger Suarez is approaching that. Taijuan let's hope that whatever he did leading into his last start, we talked to him on the postgame show after that start, and he said he did make a couple of little adjustments, trying to get into his legs a little bit more, trying to get a little bit more balanced when he's releasing the pitch. And, at least for one night, it certainly seemed to work. So, again, small sample size, and we need to see more of it. But hopefully the starting rotation is starting to figure it out. Like I said, 5 in a row, right? The last loss they had was Wheeler's bad start. Right. He gets the win last night, or he gets the terrific outing last night. That didn't get the win. But so hopefully they're getting to the point, because I think this certainly can be a strength. And if the Phils are going to go anywhere, it needs to be a strength. Mm-hmm. So we need that starting pitching to really come around.
Murphy, these guys all the time. What is it with Schwarber when it gets to June, all of a sudden the light switch turns on with this dude, man? I've never seen anything like this. And he's the most unconventional leadoff hitter I've ever seen. You don't look at him as a leadoff hitter, but he performs better on the leadoff spot. And all of a sudden the bombs start flying more frequently at that point when June comes around.
Yeah, you know what? I think if anybody had that answer, they might be making some money off of it somehow. Because even Kyle doesn't have that answer. And if you talk to Kyle about it, first of all, he's a terrific guy. He's a very humble guy, and an all shucks kind of guy when it comes down to it. So you talk to him about his massive Junes, and he's like, yeah, it's been fun, and that kind of thing. But what he wants to talk about is his struggles in April and May. And, he's like, I don't want to be a guy that is a slow starter like that. It's not something anybody wants. And he's like, I don't know why it takes me time to get to the place where I'm feeling that comfortable at the plate. And it hasn't always been the way it has been the last 2 months, but still, he's always kind of struggled right out of the gate. So, I don't know. Maybe it's, partly mental. That calendar turns to June and he just says to himself, well, I've always hit well in June. So I guess I'm just going to start now. And I do think he feels comfortable in that leadoff spot for whatever reason. Rob Thompson knows that. I think when they moved him out of it, it was necessary because he really was scuffling. Yeah. But now that he's back, let's hope that he can continue to do what he's doing. I don't know that he can duplicate what he's done the last 2 Junes, but bring it on if you can. That'd be fun.
Good news too, Murph. Looks like Alvarado is going to be activated for tonight. So you add another piece to the back end there, and we know how dominant he was before he went down. And this makes the middle portion of that that bullpen, if you need it 6, 7, 8, that much stronger if you got Alvarado back there, depending on how they want to work him in.
Yeah, you mentioned who's the Phillies all-star, and, Nick Castellanos comes to mind, but Jose Alvarado certainly is deserving now because he got hurt, missed a little time. We'll see, but hopefully he can get, another 7, 8, 9 appearances before the voting really starts to ramp up. And if he can continue to do what he was doing, I mean, he was as good as anybody in baseball. So, look, the bullpen's been a strength. And it's been really good. They had one small period where they struggled for about 2 weeks, but other than that, the bullpen has been really good. And you add Alvarado back in there, and it just gets better. It just gets deeper, and the rotation sets up a little bit better. You're adding another left-hander out there, so it's all good news if he's healthy. And by all accounts, he was dealing 97, 98, 99 down there in Lehigh Valley and Reading. So sounds like he's healthy.
Well, I'll tell you. Go ahead, Derek.
Do you notice any subtleties, any difference in Rob Thompson in terms of how he deals with his guys, his lineup strategy, his demeanor in any way, shape, or form? It's one thing to unexpectedly take over a team 2 months into a season. Now the whole show is his since spring training.
Yeah. You know what, Gunnar? I think to his credit, I don't really see a whole lot of difference. First of all, it worked last year, whatever he did, right? His particular personality and demeanor in that clubhouse. So I'm sure he's thinking to himself, why change? I know I can tell you that there have been moments where Rob has addressed the team and not, he's addressed them sternly, I guess, and saying, look, I don't know, I wasn't there, but you hear that he's not always just, positive and smiles and everything. There are times where he, says to these guys, all right, let's get our acts together kind of thing. And I think those messages, when they happen, mean a whole lot more because they don't happen very often, right? So, it's like parenting, right? If you scream at your kids every day, they're going to stop listening. But if you're only yelling at them once a month, and they're going to be like, oh, this must be important kind of thing. So, it's like, I think it's like that. So Rob's demeanor, I wish people could see Rob away from the ballpark, that like we get a chance to see him.
Yep.
And the way he interacts with fans, the way he interacts with us. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say he has on the plane, he always comes from the front of the plane and kind of walks down the aisle, checking in on the guys and then checking in on everybody else, the trainers and the broadcasters, and just saying hi. And it's just, he doesn't have to do that. But I think he enjoys doing that. And I think it means a lot to everybody knowing that Rob is, keeping everybody connected. And it's just a gift. I think, it's a leadership gift that he has. And it's completely genuine, which is awesome. And so, we get a chance to see him in both situations, baseball and away from baseball. And it's really kind of cool.
Well, you know what I think it is, Murph? And I think it was Matt Gelb who had the story of the Athletic, and props to him for that. But, he had the revelation that Rob Thompson was thinking about retiring. If things hadn't changed last year, it was no bitterness. Just, I've had a great run. It's probably not happening for me. And I'm ready to go. I don't know where he makes his offseason home, whatever, Canada or wherever he is. But so I think it's like, you talk about really appreciating the moment. I think he appreciates the moment and just where he's at in his life right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, he was going to retire simply because he's, I don't know how many years, but probably close to 40 years in the game of baseball, and he was ready to retire kind of thing. I think he kind of was at peace with, I'm not going to be a manager maybe 10 years, 15 years ago. And like at that moment, he thought, okay, bench coach is where I'm at, and bench coach is where I'm going to be. And he was perfectly fine with that. He was terrific at it. But then this opportunity arises, and all of a sudden, it's another dream come true in a career of lots of great dreams. So and he's appreciating the moment, and none of them ever know how long it's going to last for them. But I personally hope it lasts for a while, because he's a great guy to be around, and certainly he seems to get the most out of the guys almost all the time.
I think one of the more pleasant surprises on this team has been his kid, Cody Clemens. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people coming out of spring training were talking about him. I mean, you have a better insight in that than we do, because you guys are there, you see it, you talk to the right people. But I think he's been a pleasant surprise, and will make it tough on people like Derek Hall trying to come back if he continues to do what he's doing now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Cody had a really good spring, but so did all the other guys that were vying for that final two spots or whatever. They all played well in Clearwater, including Cody. The book on Cody was the kid can hit, right? I mean, it's so funny. His father's one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And the book on Cody is, man, this kid can rake, right? So it just goes to show you how cool genetics are, first and foremost. But so I think it took Cody a little bit of time to get going when he got back up here and got his opportunity. But he's certainly made the most of it. Derek Hall, Rob has been very honest. When asked the question, are we going to see Derek soon? And he said, well, Derek needs to make sure he's swinging the bat. He needs to be hitting home runs. He needs to be hitting doubles. He needs to be hitting for average down there before we entertain the idea. Had Cody not played as well, then they probably would be trying to move that forward. But now they have the luxury of saying, Derek, you're down there, get your swing down, and then we'll see where we're at. But we have Cody Clemens up here doing what he's able to do. So it's been terrific to see. I love guys that take advantage of opportunities, and Cody's defense has been really good too. Yes. So so all in all, I think it's just been fun to watch for sure.
Well, the whole first base thing is fascinating. I mean, Cody's playing really well right now. You can throw Bohm over there. We know that when he gets back. Harper's training there at least, and then there's Derek Hall sort of looming, right? So there's a lot of different ways this could go here.
Yeah. And can I throw in a perfect world deep into the playoffs, Rhys Hoskins might be ready as well.
Exactly. He's back around the ball. He's off crutches now. He's got the beard.
So Yeah, I don't know if it's a good problem to have or if it's just a thing that we'll have to figure out. But yeah, whenever you have choices, whenever you have options, I guess that is a good thing. So let's hope that everybody can stay healthy from here on out, because injuries really kind of set that first base conundrum in motion. And you had Reese, you lose him, but then you say, okay, well, look, you're replacing him with a guy like Derek Hall, who seems to be able to almost fill at least the numbers for Reese. And then boom, he goes down. And then it becomes, okay, now how are we going to fill those numbers? And I'm not sure that Cody and Alec, over there are going to fill those numbers, but certainly they've done a nice job in helping this team win some ball games.
Have you had a chance to meet Roger Clemens? And if so, because, when he was a competitor, he was the one word when you mention his name as a competitor was intense. He was such an intense competitor. What's he like now as a dad watching his son, blossom as a major leaguer?
Yeah. So I've met Roger over the years. I have not gotten a chance to interact with him since Cody's been on our team.
Okay.
He was at the ballpark one day, but I did not get a chance.
He was there last night. Yeah.
But, he was. Was he there last night? I didn't even see. But then he saw a great.
He saw a good, nice ending. Nice ending for Dad. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, we're all dads. I think competitor aside, because Roger was one of the greats. But you think about how cool it must be to watch your kids succeed at anything, but to see your kids succeeding at the major league level. I follow them on social media, and I know Roger often is out there saying that, that's my boy, and I just think that's awesome because at the end of the day, these guys are just, the regular guys that happen to be really good at baseball. But to see them enjoying their families and enjoying the success of their kids, it's fun to watch.
He sent out a yes sir tweet with the strength emoji and a fire. So there you go. You know how Dad was feeling. Proud dad list. That's for sure. Murph, good stuff. Great stuff on the fundraising front. And most importantly, glad you're feeling well, man. And keep up the good work on the pre and post game. So we got tonight 7:05, I think. Right?
7:05 tonight.
So you'll be on at 6:30 on WIP. We can hear you. Okay.
You got it.
Murph, awesome, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for a couple minutes.
Have a good weekend. Yeah, always good to talk to you. I appreciate all the support. Thank you.
Take care. It's Greg Murphy, Phillies pre and post game host, does an excellent job on the radio, and more importantly, feeling good, Gunner. He's feeling good, man. Yep. 142,000 raised in 10 weeks. That is that's serious.
I know he was humbled by it, but like I said when we were talking, I'm not surprised. If you know the character of Greg Murphy, we had the pleasure of working with him for years. It's an honor to call him not just a colleague, but a good friend as well.
Yep.
And to see him doing so well on all fronts physically, and back in the game, he was out of the game for a while.
Yep.
Right back where he should be.
Mm-hmm.
All the best to him, because if anybody deserves it, he does.
Well said. Okay, I couldn't say it any better than you just said it. That's for sure. All right, let's come back, Derek. By the way, 2:00, our football segment. Wide receiver trios. Who has the best in the NFL?
I got 10 of them.
I know, man. You got me thinking about this yesterday, and I'm
look at this list, man. Look at this.
I know.
10.
I'm telling you, there's some really good ones too. I'm with you. Well, so
and we're not including the Eagles in this.
No, frankly, their top two are right there with anybody, but three is a little bit of a fall off. If we're being real about this. But speaking of receivers, DeAndre Hopkins makes another visit. Broncos, I think, make a real nice signing, and one of Russell Wilson's teammates has his back and then some. So we'll get into all of that. NBA Finals tonight. When we come back. So a lot to do. Don't go anywhere on this Friday. He is Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you right now about Pro Action Restoration. Yeah, Pro Action Restoration. They're the place that you turn to if you have a home, you have a business, you have a property that you may own, and you go through the inconvenience, the pain, the uncertainty. Who do you reach out to? Of fire, of smoke, of mold, of water damage, whatever the case may be. I'll tell you who you reach out to. It's Pro Action Restoration, because they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week, and they're excellent at what they do. I went through it. Reached out to them on a Saturday. They got over to my parents' house. They cleaned up the place. The price was right. The crew was professional, reasonable. I mean, it was beyond what I would have imagined. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action Restoration will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So again, It could be water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation. You name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
We're back. What is up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take. Let's smash the like button. Let's see if we get a little run here, folks. Let's hit that like button as much as we can in the last 90 minutes of the program. But thanks for hanging out with us. JM, it is trios, not duos. So wide receiver trios. Yeah. And you can't mix in tight ends. It's strictly wideouts. Okay. So we'll do that in a little bit. All right, Gunnar, what's your sense tonight? We have game 4 of the NBA Finals, and we saw Denver win the other night on the Heat's home floor. Tonight, the point spread is Denver -3.5. We know Miami's got to get this one or it's probably over. I mean, I know you don't count Miami out, but let's face it, they get down 3-1 going back to Denver, it's probably lights out. What do you think in this one?
I think Miami shocked a lot of people by winning a game at Denver, especially when Denver was up on them double digits on their floor. They hadn't lost a home game since March 30th, and Miami found a way to rally and get that win and pull even. Miami has done that the entire playoffs. Everybody thought they were going to lose that 7th game. Once they blew that 3-0 lead against Boston, that they were dead to rights, and they blew Boston out that last game. Now, Denver's a little bit different level than even Boston, but there's something inside of me that just thinks Miami's going to even a series at 2-2. Eric Spoelstra is the best in the game at making adjustments game in and game out.
Yep.
We agree that Denver has the superior talent, because they have bombers from everywhere. But when Miami gets hot and they start hitting, and those guys start complimenting Jimmy Butler, they're just as dangerous as anybody. And I think tonight, out in desperation, Miami knows the situation. You know, they know exactly what you just said. If they don't win it tonight, it could be over going back to Denver. They won't let that happen. I think Miami somehow, some way finds a way to pull out this one. They got to find a way to better defend Jokic. I don't know if they can, because nobody really can against that dude as slow as he is. You can't stop him. The performance him and Jamal Murray had the other night were historic. I'm going to take Miami in this game tonight.
I like Miami also for a lot of the reasons you just stated. I don't see look, Joker and Murray are going to get theirs to an extent, but you can't have both of them kill you.
No.
So figure something out with one of them where they're not destroying you. You know, I think there's a couple other things that need to happen for Miami. I think Spoelstra will make some, you know, some pretty good adjustments and whatnot. You need Jimmy Butler to be spectacular, not just good. And he needs to be great tonight. It's just the way they're wired. So he's got to come out and be great. Okay. So that's a big part of this thing for them. But he's got to get consistent help from somebody else. You know, like there have been points of games where Strus looked really good. There have been points of games where, I don't know, Duncan Robinson has helped them. I'm gonna exclude Adebayo because I think he's been really good. But part of the Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Strus, Duncan Robinson group, someone's got to just be awesome tonight. It's just the way they are. They can't be just okay. They got to be great. And they have to hope that, like, Michael Porter Jr. continues to not be able to figure it out. He's been kind of way off for Denver. You know who hurt them the other night? The kid Christian Brown. Like, that can't happen. They can't have somebody else like that coming up big.
22 years old, playing like a seasoned vet.
Yeah. So it's going to be really big to contain, you know, those guys. They can't hurt you like that.
Well, if you go back to game 2, Miami did a great job of taking Murray out of the game, which was a significant part of the reason why they were able to win that game. Mm-hmm. If they can take Murray out of the game, now, like you say, Jokic is going to get his no matter what. But if you can take Murray out of the game and keep him at pedestrian-like, that's going to enhance the probability that Miami can win that game. You know, whatever they did in game 2, they've got to do and then something tonight in game 4. And Miami is such a good defensive team. That's why I believe, you know, if they can keep the scoring down, keep it down in the low 100s, they have a very good chance of winning that game. If you start talking about a game that can get in the high 120s, low 130s, that's Denver's ball game right there.
Well, and it usually comes to play that your role players in basketball play better at home. So with that in mind, if you're Miami, obviously you're hoping that that's the case. You know, I think what we may also just be seeing here, Derek, is Denver is just so much better than everybody else. They're deep. Yeah. You know, you're running guys like Bruce Brown off the bench, who's really good. The kid Christian Brown we just mentioned played, you know, very well for them. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a good leader for them in that starting lineup. You know, and I think Mike Malone's a really good coach. I don't know that I'll take Spoelstra against anybody, but Mike Malone's a pretty darn good coach in his own way. So it's going to be tough, but at least it's at Miami. And when we've written them off before, they seem to always answer the bell. That's a great characteristic of this team.
I don't think Malone gets enough credit because they play out west. You know, much of the heavy duty media contingent is on the East Coast. And that's why, you know, from Miami all the way up to Boston, you know, and I think that's why we focus a lot more. But you're right. I mean, he got in this team's grill after game 2. I mean, he pulled no punches. And, you know, normally you keep a lot of things in-house. You talk about it amongst your team. He went public with it in terms of how they played and didn't play up to expectation, and the team responded. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, here's pregame speech coming out for game 3. And then they have a camera ISO on him at the start of the 4th quarter, talking about the same things, just reiterating and hammering home the same things that he said in the pregame speech to his team. And, man, did they rise to the challenge in game number 3. But Miami needs to be just as motivated tonight. You know, they have to think, if we don't get this done tonight, this could be our last home game of the season, plain and simple.
No question. All right, so Gunnar, let's look just to turn our sights to the Sixers, just to stay on basketball for a minute here. And we talked about it yesterday that as far as Harden goes, you could be looking at potentially Houston, certainly the Sixers. This is if he opts out, which I'd be shocked if he didn't. And Phoenix is in the mix now too, because they're going to waive Chris Paul. What's going to happen there is not 100% certain. They could waive him, bring him back at a cheaper rate. They could waive him, do a sign and trade, or he just walks. There's a lot of different ways this could go. Scoring average is down. He's not the player he was. He's been around for a very long time. Potentially if Harden walks, you could think about bringing Chris Paul here. Here's the issue I have with that. He's hurt all the time. He's another one who can't get to the finish line healthy. I appreciate him. He's a future Hall of Famer, but that's not where I want to go with this. Another banged up guy. I can't have it.
Well, he's 37. Father time is slowly catching up to him or has caught up to him. When he's on the court, that mid-range jumper of his or that jumper in the paint is lethal. Still can't stop it. You just don't know how long you're going to have him. We already have a guy like that in Joel Embiid. I don't think you want to bring another one in here like that in Chris Paul. Even if you can get him at a good mid-range salary, he would be a great addition leadership-wise, just like a P.J. Tucker, who was a great leader. P.J., you knew he wasn't going to give you a lot of points, but you knew what he could do defending. With Chris Paul, if you got him on the court, he is going to be unstoppable with that soft floater in the paint. But at 37, that's not where I'm looking. When I look at James Harden, I don't think there's a team loyalty in James Harden right now. I think it's a money loyalty. I honestly believe it comes down to a money loyalty. Whoever pays me the most is who I'm loyal to. And that's not a knock against James Harden. That's the case with most athletes who are in a situation to sell their wares to the higher. Why wouldn't you? You don't know if you're going to ever see that kind of money again. And James being 30, he's got to be thinking this could be my last ever big contract.
Yeah.
So I've got to put myself, even though he made a lot of money in the game, he's still teeter-tottering on that age where, I'm 33, I'm not 23 anymore. I still have a decent game, a better than average game, but I do also have to take into consideration that my body's getting older. The grind it takes to get night in and night out takes a little bit longer. But if somebody's willing to pay me top dollar, that's where I'm going. We all know Houston is this reclamation project, and they've got some good young talent down there, but they're not ready yet. And when you're 33, you want to put yourself, what do most athletes want to do? They want to put themselves in a position to win. In Houston, there's no certainty you're going to win, even though those kids down there are a year older and a year wiser. So if James goes to Houston, it's all about the Benjamins, plain and simple. We understand his ties to the area. But you know what? You can go down there and visit anytime you want. You can live there during the off season,
right.
And your career is going to be over soon, so you're already established down there as it is. Mm-hmm. This is about what is best for me financially and career-wise in terms of being able to get closer to winning that. Don't know if it's in Phoenix. Certainly in Houston, at least not for another few years. So it comes down to the dollars, plain and simple.
All right, let's play a little stay or go when it comes to free agents that the Sixers have, okay? Now, Harden, we just talked about. Harden has the option. He has a player option. He can opt out. He will opt out. So we just kind of went through, where that's at. But let's go through a couple others. George Niang, he's unrestricted. Stay or go for you. And we know he can provide you the long ball. He can hit a three. He's a scrappy dude. I think he gets the most out of his talent, which is limited to an extent. He's kind of a lumbering guy. Not a willing, but not a great defender. Stay or go, George Niang.
I'm leaning towards staying because I think the Sixers would want him to be here and would pay him a little bit more than somebody else. Not a whole lot to where it kills them. Here's a guy, he's a streaky shooter. He'll get you an occasional rebound. He's not the best defender, out there. But in this game, in this day and age of the 3-ball shooter, when he's on, he can be pretty lethal. It's just that he doesn't have a consistency in his game. But I do think the Sixers like him, and I think I'll say stay.
Okay. I will say stay too, because I think you're going to get him on. I don't think he's going to break anybody's bank anywhere else, and he provides something that they need. I don't think it's the end of the world if he goes either, but I think he's back. I'll say stay on him. All right, let's go Jalen McDaniels. He is unrestricted as well. Came over in a trade from Charlotte, flashed a little bit, and then he's one of those guys, Derek, who I think fell out of favor with Rivers a little bit. I don't know that means he can't play here. I think it means he maybe needs a new voice. This is one that I'm sort of on the fence. I wouldn't be upset if he left. I'd be perfectly fine if he came back.
At 6'9", he gives them a little length. He does rebound decently. He's not going to get you a whole lot of points, but he does have sporadic moments. But he's also in a position where here's a guy who only made $1.9 million last year. He's 25 years old. He's in a position where there are a lot of teams out there that would like his athleticism, his versatility, and the fact that he would be a solid addition on the bench. I think there's somebody out there that will entice him enough to come to their team, so I'm going to say he's going to go.
Okay. Shake Milton. Shake's also unrestricted. Another guy who fell out of favor with Doc.
Another guy making $1.9 million, 26 years old. I'm sure he was frustrated by what Doc did to him this past season. But if I'm Nick Nurse, I want to keep him here because I think he provides a spark. I think he's a good quality player, a good role player, a good off-the-bench guy to give you that extra energy that you need. I think the Sixers can get him back here at a decent price. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg with him. I believe he knows his role and just wants to contribute. I think the Sixers will do everything possible to keep him, to get him to stay.
I'm going to go the other way. I think they move on from him. I think he may go somewhere and help somebody, but I think they've sort of feel like they've taken it as far as they could take it with him. I think he's probably going. He'll help somebody, and he'll stick around for another 5-7 years. Like he'll have a long career.
Yeah.
I think he's a versatile guy. Some of these are like Dwayne Dedman. He's gone. Goodbye. I mean, I don't know why that was even a thing. This shouldn't even be a second thought either. Paul Reed is restricted. You absolutely bring him back.
I agree. I like him. I like his length. He's fearless. He's physical, good rebounder, can defend. And every now and then he gets you more points than you think he's going to get you. I like everything about his game. And when I look at where he is, he made $1.78 million. Again, he's only 23.
I love his energy. I love everything about him.
And when you're trying to get younger, you got to get younger. Why not keep this kid? Find a way to keep him. He could be an integral part of your future in terms of being a role player off the bench. Mm-hmm. I say he stays.
I agree with you. I don't think that's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. This one you're stuck with. Unfortunately, Montrezl Harrell has a player option. Is right. That's a waste of a roster spot, but he was a Doc guy. Doc loved him, and then Doc realized he couldn't play, and then he never played. But he's got a player option, unfortunately. So he's
$2.9 million.
It's not a ton, but it's just a waste of space.
No. I think he's gone. I think they're gonna try to find some other young player to fill that void. A player that fits within their financial structure. I think he's out. I'll say he's gone.
Yeah, I would agree with you. A couple of I meant to throw this out there earlier. Tyler Hero not cleared to play tonight in that game 4, so he will not go. Yeah, he broke 2 fingers, and it obviously they show him sometimes warming up and he looks decent, but I guess they're worried about ball handling. The hand getting slapped, maybe. With that fracture's not healed. I don't know what the case is. Chris Middleton had surgery. Speaking of guys, so he's got a player option also, Derek. with the Bucks.
Oh,
so he had knee surgery. That knee was bothering him really all year, and he was just kind of muddling through. But he's dealt with a lot of injuries, man. Over the last couple of years, I'd be a little afraid of that if I was if he opts out. It's $40 million. I think he's going to opt in for this upcoming season. But if he did opt out, I'd be a little bit worried about that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He is a great shooter, decent defender, great shooter for the Bucks. Him and Giannis complement each other very well. If you're going to make $40 million and you're coming off of surgery, why would you pass that up?
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, whatever happens, you're getting $40 million this year.
Yes.
Whatever happens going forward.
So I'm taking that $40 million. I'm running with it to the bank. I'm with the team that competes, had the best record in the league last year. We fell short of our destination. We're 2 years removed from winning it all. We've got a great nucleus of players. Although the Bucks are getting old real quick, we got a great nucleus of players who know how to play at a high level night in and night out. He's in the perfect spot with Drew Holiday and Giannis. So I think the Bucks will do everything possible to make sure he goes nowhere.
I'll tell you what could be a really big blow to them. Brooke Lopez leaves.
Yeah.
He's a free agent. I mean, that could be massive. He's been
If
great
he leaves,
for them.
wouldn't bother me one bit, dude. You talk about a guy 7 feet that jumps 3 inches off the floor. He can shoot it from the outside. He one of the top shot blockers in the game. But I think he's almost as slow as Jokic, if that's even possible.
He's still a good defender, though.
Still a good defender. In terms of flexibility and other attributes, I like him, but I'm always arguing with my cousin in Milwaukee for the last 2 years. Please find somebody to replace him.
Oh, jeez. I like him more than you do then. Okay. All right.
He can't jump any higher than you and I can. And he's 7 feet tall.
I hear you. Lastly, in basketball news, and then we'll get to our NFL stuff. The Dan Burke, who was sort of like the defensive coordinator, if you will, for the Sixers. He was the defensive guy who I think the players liked a lot. I think he and Embiid actually had a really great relationship after having a little bit of a rocky one when he was an assistant in Indiana. He is going to be interviewing with Monty Williams to join his staff in Detroit. So he could be I mean, this is what happens when you change coaches. It's part of the nature of the beast.
Yes. And, if he goes somewhere else, obviously he wants to go there with a little bit more elevated role, which will eventually lead to hopefully to him a head coaching opportunity one day. You got to take those chances. Although Detroit's not my ideal landing spot, you go where you have to go to enhance your resume, to get something else on your resume. And, if that's the case, he's going with a good head coach, a head coach that's well respected, and hopefully a head coach that will value his input and help him to get to where he wants to go, which is to eventually be a head coach.
Mm-hmm. No question about it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because we haven't heard anything regarding Nick Nurse's staff and right. guys that he's bringing in. It's been pretty quiet on that front. I don't know how many guys he'll try to bring down from Toronto. I thought maybe they try and keep, like, Cassell's already gone. He went to Boston. Burke is now interviewing in Detroit. The only guy, Dave Yeager, was another one of Doc's sort of right-hand men. I wonder if any of these guys are going to stick around or they're all going to be gone.
Mm.
You know
what happens? New coach comes in, wants to change the complexion of his bench, wants to bring his boys in. Happens all the time.
Yep.
Remains to be seen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, again, game 4 tonight in the NBA Finals. And then I believe, let me just pull this up exactly when they play. So NHL Stanley Cup Finals, the next one will be Saturday. So tomorrow, 8:00, stays in Florida, and Florida gets the win last night, and they trailed the series 2-1 to Vegas. I will say this, in watching last night, Sergei Bobrovsky was awesome for the Panthers last night, former Flyer. He was just absolutely great.
I thought both goalies played a very good game.
Yeah, they did. I'm taking nothing away from – you're right. I'm taking nothing away from Vegas' goalie either. You're right. He was good too.
Because he's been playing great throughout the playoffs. But I thought they both stood on their heads and made some incredible saves. Yeah. Just a one too many slip through the wicket for the Vegas goalie. But
no doubt.
Great matchup. I didn't know this is the first time Florida has been to the finals.
Yeah, it's the first time. It's the furthest they've been since '96, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while for them.
And I see they're still throwing the rats on the ice.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable. Yeah. They were doing that when I was down there back in the '90s when they were playing the Flyers in the playoffs.
Yeah, what a fun tradition. Rats on the ice. Yeah.
The rubber rats all over the ice. I'm thinking whoever makes rubber rats in Florida is making a killing.
Yeah, right.
Off of just this one team in the fan base.
Only every 27 years you get to make a lot of money off the rubber rats. All right, so we'll come back NFL. We'll talk about trios. We'll talk about the best wide receiving trios. We'll talk about DeAndre Hopkins, a bunch of other stuff that we'll get into when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports, YouTube Network. We're going to talk right now about Flynn Tree Services. They are an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. They're experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Now, keep in mind, with hurricane season right around the corner, it's a good time to get your trees evaluated right now. You can go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Yeah, we are back. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hour number 3 of the program. That's Gunner. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take. Tell a friend. Smash the like button. Boom, boom. That's all you need to do. What's going on, everybody? All right, let's talk a little NFL, Derek. So the DeAndre Hopkins tour continues. He has previously visited Tennessee. He is visiting the Patriots. They are next up. I got to tell you, two teams that would make a lot of sense for him. Two teams that need an offensive infusion. A legit established dude like him. I think if you're Ryan Tannehill or Mac Jones, you're drooling with the prospect of DeAndre Hopkins.
He would automatically go there. He would be a number one receiver. I think it's an offense where he would shine. Boy, he would do wonders in terms of opening up that offense even more so, because you'd have to pay so much attention to him. He can still run. He can still step. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he is physical, talks a good game, plays a good game. I think even with Traylon Burks in Tennessee, I think DeAndre will still be a number one receiver in Tennessee. Definitely a number one in New England. But I think he would be the number one in Tennessee, which would bode well for Traylon. Would take a lot of onus off him and allow him. Traylon's a big boy. He's like A.J. Brown. He's a big dude, big physical dude. If you remember that game he played against the Eagles, he caught that touchdown pass, took a shot over the middle, had a concussion, never came back. But the fact that he held on to the ball after taking that shot, that's a tough young man. If you can get a quality receiver to take some of the double team off him, that would help Tennessee's offense a lot, and would help them to come out from that umbrella of just being a Derrick Henry power offense.
Yeah, and I just feel like, I don't know, with New England, they've just lacked playmakers in general. Just guys who, all right, he's covered, throw it up, let him go make a play. And they haven't really had that guy. And I think Belichick got a little accustomed to Brady, I guess, being able to figure it out. And, we'll see. I mean, who was their last? Was it Edelman? The last really good receiver they had. It's been a little
Julian Edelman. Yeah. So I mean, last year Jacoby Myers was a top receiver. He only had 67 catches and 804 yards. He's gone now.
Yeah, underwhelming.
I think, and Devontae Parker's still there. I think. But would New England pay DeAndre what he wants? Belichick's not one of these guys that just gives out money freely.
Yeah.
They're very tight, except for maybe a quarterback. They're very tight with the money. They get quality role players in there, but they don't overspend a lot. And I don't know if New England would meet DeAndre's financial demands. If they did, that would tell you that they are desperate to get back in the higher pecking order based on moves made by the Jets, with the anticipation that Tua's going to come back as strong as ever, and of course Buffalo being Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have to know what they're up against. You're right, in that division for sure, because you're going to need some firepower against them. So the Broncos, I like this move from Denver. They signed Frank Clark. They add him to a defense that's already pretty darn good. Make them even stronger.
Well, Frank was the heart of that Kansas City defense. And the reason that he's gone from Kansas City is because they couldn't come to a financial understanding in terms of, his worth to that team. And, you look at the Kansas City team, if they let a Tyreek Hill walk, then everybody's fair game. I don't care who you are except Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed that in terms of, look, we don't need the best of the best to still be the best overall team, especially when they basically went to a bunch of average receivers to replace the Tyreek Hill, and it worked to perfection for them in terms of what they wanted to do. Kansas City's defense was already a middle-of-the-road defense. It wasn't a great defense. It was an opportunistic defense. Their MO is, if we can get off the field once every other series and give the ball to our offense, we're in good hands. Frank Clark is only 30 years old, still has a few games left in him. Obviously, they don't want to play him. I think he's going to be a tremendous asset to already a very good Denver defense.
Interesting post from Chris Jones, who was the Chiefs, stud defensive tackle. Now, you can read this a couple of different ways. So he posted his video to his IG account with the caption "clock ticking," and he put two hourglasses. Hashtag Chiefs Kingdom. Now he's either saying we're close to the season starting, or I need to get paid.
Yeah.
One or the other, because he is going to get paid, and defense tackles in this league get paid. What do you think's happening there?
I think Kansas City will do everything they can to keep him. Kansas City will pay their players. If they identify you that you still have some value to them, they will pay their players. But it's going to be a long, drawn out process. Both sides want to make sure they come out winning. But based on the numbers that D tackles are getting nowadays, Kansas City knows if you pay what the Eagles D tackle got from San Francisco, then what's Chris Jones worth?
I know. That's the thing, and he's got his base this year would be 19.5 with a $500,000 workout bonus. So it would get him to 20. But there's a potential out there. So,
but how much of that money is guaranteed?
There's a big cap hit too. There's 28.2 of a cap hit and dead cap value just of $7 million. So I think it's in both of their best interest to get something done here. You would think.
Yeah, you don't want this to linger. Anytime these players start putting these little subliminal messages out on social media, that tells you that they want their money and they want it now. I don't blame them. When you look at the season that Chris Jones just came off of,
strike while it's hot.
While the iron's out, the dude had 15 and a half sacks. He is the middle of that defense. He's 28 years old, still in the prime of his career. Kansas City knows they're going to have to pay for this man to play. They understand it. And I'm sure they'll get it done. Andy Reid takes care of his players. Let's face it. He did it here in Philadelphia, and he's done it in Kansas City. You already let Frank Clark go. You already let Tyreek go. I don't think they let Chris Jones go at 28 years of age.
No way is Chris Jones getting out of it. No possible way. And Andy values that position. It's not happening. This will be figured out. All right. We have ripped him a lot. We've had a lot of fun with him, myself included. But I will give props to Zach Wilson. I'm giving props to the MILF Hunter, Derek. Okay?
Wait a minute. Say that again?
I am giving props to the MILF Hunter himself.
For what? Is he dating somebody new?
No. Has nothing to do with that. So he was asked about the Jets bringing in Aaron Rodgers and him being, demoted to number 2. And to his credit, he said, quote, "I can't be bitter. I didn't perform well. Of course, I'd like to be the guy. At first, you're not always happy about that, but I'm extremely psyched that of any quarterback we could have brought in, it was him." And Aaron Rodgers also said that he's made his life heaven. He went on to kind of joke that he hasn't made it, hell on me every day. In other words, he's been supportive. Okay, so maybe some maturity coming from our guy here. Maybe he's learning the error of his ways, Derek. Got to give credit where credit's due here. It seems mature.
I think Zach realized, or either somebody told him, that he fell out of grace with that organization real quick. And the fact that he openly admits that he didn't play well is his first step to redemption, because he did not. For a high first-round draft pick, he didn't come close to living up to that expectation. At this stage of his career, with his entire career still in front of him, and you got a guy who could be there at the very most 2 years, who better to learn from than a highly decorated guy who's won multiple MVPs, who's won a Super Bowl, who's considered one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. If I'm Zach Wilson, I am absorbing everything that Aaron Rodgers could teach me other than being a diva. Outside of that, everything Aaron Rodgers can teach me about being a professional quarterback, what to look for when I step to the line of scrimmage, how to win a locker room, how to get these guys to be willing to want to follow me. Aaron Rodgers, say what you want to say about him as a person off the field, but he has all those intangibles in terms of what a true leader, what a true elite quarterback does and has to do consistently in the National Football League. I think Zach has to look at this as, I'm in a great position to learn from one of the best who ever did it. And I want to be his student for as long as he's here.
Right. That's good. That's good. Christy enjoyed your reaction. Is he dating someone new? Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Well, so his teammates have his back. We know this, Derek. Garrett Bowles, who is a good defensive tackle for the Denver Broncos, says that a lot of people are going to be eating crow when it comes to Russell Wilson. He said, you're going to see this year what this guy's made of. And he didn't go out of his way to bury Nathaniel Hackett or anybody else, but he said, we see what's going on here every day with him, and you're all going to see soon. I actually believe that. I think you're looking at a big bounce back here for Wilson this season.
I think Russell Wilson is competitive as they come. He's been all about winning, was a consistent winner in Seattle. That Russell Wilson of 2022 was out of character. And I'll give Russell credit. He didn't come out and blast Nathaniel Hackett for his demise or the offense unraveling the way it did, especially when you had the personnel you had. Now you have a guy who can help him focus on being that Russell Wilson again. Sean Payton's offense is a quarterback-driven offense. It revolves around the quarterback first and foremost. And I believe that Sean Payton will get him back to a Pro Bowl level. Now, he may be outplayed by a number of quarterbacks in terms of stats, but I think Sean Payton, no doubt, will get Russell Wilson back to what he was even at this stage of his career. No question.
I agree with you. And look, Russell Wilson's a competitor, man. Like he knows what's being said about him. He knows there are a lot of people that have written him off, and the whole prima donna thing, and people some of the Seattle people kind of like, all right, see, I told you. He heard all that. And I think you're looking at a couple good years from him at least. I think Sean Payton is the best thing they could have done in Denver to get him going. I really do.
Yep.
How about these words from Debo Samuel? He said last year was my worst year in every aspect. I don't know. I mean, look, I think some of it was he was banged up, right? I mean, I think that had to play into it a little bit.
Yep.
He's being a little bit rough on himself. I mean, look, you would expect him to bounce back this year, I would think. And he got the big contract and all those kind of things. And he only played 13 games. He missed 4, only had 600 yards receiving, only 11 yards per catch, only 2 touchdowns, didn't run it as much. And some of that was by his, request. He would appear poised to have a big one too. I think he's going to come back strong.
Debo is a phenomenal athlete, and the way they use him in their offense is more like a Swiss Army knife. They're not afraid to use him on the jet sweeps. They're not afraid to run him out of the backfield. He's not just your traditional receiver, and that's why his numbers overall suffer. But, man, is he explosive. He's tough to bring down. He's explosive. He's, when he was going through his contract negotiations, they were trying to determine, is he a running back or is he a wide receiver? Eventually, they got that worked out. The good ones are never satisfied. We talk about a Jalen Hurts. The good ones like a Debo Samuels are never satisfied with what they've done. And you look at his overall numbers. Now, he had a combined, I think, he only had a combined, 800, 900 something yards of total offense?
Yeah,
that's not Debo.
It's not him. He had 632 receiving and 232 rushing. Yeah, it's definitely not him. Yeah.
And only five total touchdowns. That's not Debo. Considering they went through 3 quarterbacks, you had to get used to 3 different quarterbacks. That's not easy to do. This was a guy who in 2021 had 1,400 receiving yards, okay? And his rushing yards were 365. He had 10 total touchdowns in 2021. His numbers dipped significantly. So he had over 1,700 yards of offense in 2021. And obviously he missed more games in 2022. But his touchdowns were cut in half also. So I agree with him when he said that every aspect of my game was not what I wanted it to be. And he's only 27 years old, still very much in his prime. I get it. That self-motivation will bode well for him. If they can settle on one quarterback, whether it's Purdy, Lance, whoever it is, if they settle on one quarterback and get him back to what he was in 2021, Debo is going to be a monster this year.
I agree. All right. We mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but Bryce Young is, at least by all accounts, has won the job. Now, I guess that could change when you go into camp and it gets real. But they like the way he's looked so far. They feel like he's got the offense down really well. And, Frank Reich's been running him with the A team. So looks like at least of the rookies that we know of right now, Bryce Young will be the starter come week 1, and barring any kind of late changes.
I don't care how smart he is, in which it supposedly is an extremely high football IQ. How do you have the offense down in a matter of several practice sessions?
Yeah.
And you haven't even put on the pads yet. I don't understand that. I understand that there's an urgency to find that quarterback of the future. Andy Dalton is simply a quick fix. Whatever happened to Matt Carroll, nobody knows except that organization, whatever happened to him. So it looks like he's not even in the discussion of being a starting quarterback. Basically, you're telling the fan base of Carolina, yes, we understand we went out and got Miles Sanders. We understand we have Chuba Hubbard. We have DJ Chark, Terrence Marshall Jr. We have Hayden Hurst. We have a lot of things to win right now, but you're going to have to give Adam Thielen. They added Adam Thielen, but you're going to have to give us patience. We're going to start a rookie quarterback with all this. I wonder if Adam Thielen would have signed with Carolina had he known they were going to start a rookie quarterback. I wonder if Miles Sanders would have signed with Carolina, unless they were just the only team that gave him the most money opportunity out there. But I wonder if those kind of players would have signed with Carolina had they known that they're going to start the season with a rookie. It's a tough
hard
call.
to say. Yeah, hard to say, because if you think about it, you went in like signing there with a couple of different. I guess ideally Dalton would probably be best for the short term, but is he really any kind of answer? I don't know. I think he kind of went in knowing they were in somewhat of a rebuild. So you sort of live with that a little bit if you're Thielen, I think that plays a part of it for sure. But that's a team I think is headed on the right path for sure with the coach and some of the other things that they're doing there. All right, you ready to do our trios here? The best. Woo! This is strictly wide receiver. Okay, no tight end. For example, for San Francisco, you can't use McCaffrey coming out of the backfield and catching footballs. You couldn't use, I don't know, DeAndre Swift with the Eagles. Catching ball. It's got to be 3 receivers. The teams that you think have the best, and we're not necessarily ranking them. We're just throwing out their teams that stand out to you in terms of the 3 that they have. So, Gunnar, why don't you take one, and then we'll just kind of bang them back and forth here.
Well, I think the most obvious trio has to be what Joe Burrow's throwing to in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. I think they're as good as any trio in the game today. Very versatile. The thing is, Tyler Boyd said earlier in the week or last week that if he had played against Kansas City, and
they would be in there. Yeah, they would have
beat them. Yep. I tell you what, they're 3 tough receivers. All 3 are fast receivers, great hands. Cincinnati's done a great job of assembling that trio for Joe Burrow to throw to. I think when you look at all the trios, especially all the trios that I have on my sheet, I think they're at the top of the list. But there are some really good trio combinations out there.
I agree. I love those 3. I think all 3 are good and tough. You see the connection that goes back to LSU with Burrow and Chase, and T. Higgins has just proven everybody wrong who doubted him. They lasted until the second round, and Tyler Boyd is very underrated. So I love those 3. I hate to say it, Derek.
Yep.
Dallas's 3 now is pretty good.
Ooh.
CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks. That's a pretty good 3.
I've been a big fan of Michael Gallup for a long time. Unfortunately, he's been bitten by the injury bug. When he's healthy, he can flat out go. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb makes that trio. Brandon Brooks, it's amazing how many teams he's played for, as fast as he is, as reliable as he is. But he gives that Dallas offense now that stretch the field ability that they have been missing in recent years. And with him and both CeeDee Lamb on opposite sides being able to stretch a field now, that's going to make Dallas's passing game that much more lethal. That's a good trio. I didn't even have that one on my list, but I like that trio.
Well, think about it. Brandon Cooks is an established he's what Eagles fans hope Quez Watkins can sort of develop into. I mean, not even to that level. He's a burner who catches the ball, who makes plays. I mean, he's already established there with that team. So, all right, I'll go Dallas. Where are you going next?
All right, let's see, man. My next crew will be the crew of Miami: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Cedric Wilson.
Yep.
First of all, Tyreek Hill is the best ball tracker in the game today, bar none. You cannot double this man. He opens things up so much. If it wasn't for Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle would be the number one receiver on a lot of teams down there.
Yep.
And the fact that they added Cedric Wilson to that mix, Cedric is a guy who doesn't get a lot of notoriety, but he's a reliable receiver. I love that Miami trio of receivers. And when Tua was cranking, man, that passing game was lethal down in Miami.
Yeah.
With the, and I just think
McDaniel knows what he's doing, Derek. Like
yes,
he knows he's plays to the strengths of his players, and he had that get it out quick thing with Tua, and it was working really well. Yep.
Oh, no question about it. And when I look at the stats, the receiving stats from last year, obviously Tyreek, the man had 119 catches, 1,700 yards. Jalen has only 75 catches, but he had 1,356 yards. Between the two of them, they had 15 touchdown catches. Cedric Wilson missed 2 games. He only had 12 catches. He had 12 catches last year. But this is a kid that has a lot of potential. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. When he was in Dallas, his best year was in 2021 when he had 45 catches for 602 yards and 6 touchdowns. He was an up-and-comer. Now, why he ended up in Miami, maybe they offered him the most money, but obviously you couldn't foresee that Tyreek Hill was coming there as well. Cedric Wilson would have been a number 2 if Tyreek Hill had been there. Waddle would have been a number 1.
I'm back.
What happened?
So I don't know what happened. You ever see on Facebook or on Twitter when it's somebody's birthday, and I think you see it more on like Facebook, and you go on there to wish them a happy birthday, and you see like the balloons that go up. There's that little effect. All of a sudden,
yep,
my screen went. There were like pink and blue and stuff, and then it just went zzz, and it went out. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, man. I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm with you. I would never leave you like that. You know that.
Are you starting to see things? Is that what we have to worry about?
I'm not. I've been seeing things and talking to myself for a long time, Derek. There's nothing new there. All right, so I'll go next, and I think this one's a little bit underrated. Okay, I think this trio is a little bit underrated. How about Buffalo? So you go with Stephon Diggs, nasty, right? I think Gabe Davis is very underrated, and I'm going to throw. Gabe. I do too. I think he's very under. The kid who I think is gonna really take off this year, Khalil Shakir. He's out of Boise State, number 10. He made some plays for them last year. The numbers aren't going to blow you away, but I think I'm telling you, watch out for those 3, man. They're good, and not. I know we're not doing this, but they also have Dawson Knox, and they drafted the kid Dalton Kincaid. Look out for that. There's going to be a lot of options.
Yes. Wow. I didn't even think about it like that, but that's a pretty good pick. Yeah. Not bad at all.
Underrated a little bit.
The next one I'm going to pick entails one of the trio that has not proven himself at this level yet, but I think because of the other 2 mentoring him, he's going to have a great rookie season. I love Seattle's combination of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yes.
I know a lot of people had Njigba high on their wish list on the draft board, and he walks into a great situation. Who better to learn from than the likes of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who've done it at a high level for a long time? Just another weapon for Geno Smith to throw to, and will take a lot of pressure. Once he gets up to speed and Jigba gets up to speed, if there's one thing Ohio State does, they turn out great wide receivers. They may miss a lot on NFL quarterbacks, but they turn out great wide receivers, and Njigba could be the next great one, mainly because of the 2 guys who are already ahead of him on that Seattle roster.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You could take different things from both of those 2 guys. Both are studs, but, I mean, Metcalf, just a physical specimen and strength and hustle and all the things. And then Lockett's just a worker, man, and has been since he came out of Kansas State. I like him. Yeah, it's a good choice. And I think, Smith and Jigba is going to be nasty. You're right about that. All right, I'll go with the Lions here, Derek. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have since he came out. I think the guy's an absolute beast. I think he's in the top 10, top 7 discussion of any receivers. You throw him in there. Now, this is going to be like sort of a wait and see because Jameson Williams, being the knucklehead that he was, got suspended for the gambling.
Yep.
But when he gets back, I think about those two. And then there's a couple directions you go, like Marvin Jones Jr. You could go there. I really like Khalif Raymond. You could go there. I mean, there's different places that you could go with this, but that's one of the reasons why Goff had such a good year for them is because he's got great targets to throw to. He really does.
Absolutely. And that offense really came, that passing game really started to click the second half of the season and just ripped up defenses. And I think it's going to be more of the same this year. But that kid,
Ross St. Brown. Yep.
Yeah. He's been being talked about. The kid had almost 1,200 yards receiving last year, missed one game because of an injury. I love everything about him. And if Jameis Williams comes back with his head on correctly, that's going to make that offense just dynamic in terms of the passing game. Yeah, I like that trio. I really do.
You got another one? I got one if you don't.
I got like 6 more.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go to Denver. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and KJ Hamler. The problem with Hamler is he can't stay healthy. You got to stay on the field. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to Jeudy and Sutton, big bodies, physical, fast. Russell didn't get to utilize them to the best of their ability last year. But in this Sean Payton offense, I think those 3 are going to shine. And I agree with Denver's offensive lineman who said, you guys are going to be eating crow about Russell. I think Sean Payton is salivating at the prospect. I can see a lot of success with that Denver offense that Sean had with Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, and all those guys down in New Orleans. I think that's a great trio and it's going to give a lot of defenses nightmares when they step on the field if they can keep Hamler healthy.
Yeah, it's a big key. You're right. All right, I'll go Washington here. I think Washington's interesting, Derek. Terry McLaurin, who just gets year in and year out, very consistent. Jahan Dotson, until he got a little bit banged up last year, kind of burst on the scene from Penn State and was really good. And Curtis Samuel, not great, but still pretty darn good if he's your third option. That's a nice little trio they have there.
I agree. I'm a big Terry McLaurin fan. He finally got paid. Jahan Dotson is the younger guy who's coming into his own now. And Curtis Samuel's he's like this steady Eddie.
Yeah.
Who's there if you need him. He's still quick, difficult to cover, makes big catches. Dude is tough.
Mm-hmm.
A great compliment, all 3 of those guys together. It's just a matter of if I'm all 3 of them, I'm sitting there going, who's throwing us the football?
Yeah.
Who's going to get us the ball?
Well,
that's
look,
what I think.
If I'm them, I agree with you. I'd have that fear, but you do have at least Eric Bieniemy there now, a guy who can figure some things out. It could be
Eric Bieniemy ain't throwing the ball.
It's true. It's very true.
That's why when they say Sam Howell, I'm like, yeah, right. We've seen samples of Jacoby.
All right, what are you thinking? Brissett? Is Brissett the starter week 1, or is he? Does it take a couple weeks?
I think he's the starter week 1. Okay. I think because of his veteran status, we've seen him play well at times. He's never been consistent, but we've seen him play well at times. I can't believe that Washington is going to put Sam Howell on the field ahead of Jacoby Brissett. I think once they hit training camp, they start playing and practicing against other teams, get to some preseason games, I think you're going to see the separation. I think Brissett may even play some of the preseason games. You like to keep your front line guys out. But I think just to get acclimated with these guys, you got to get them a few reps in game situations. And I think when it's all said and done, no question, in my mind, Brissett should be starting the season ahead of your best option to win, which is as weird as it seems. Your best option to win is with Brissett on the field, not Sam Howell.
Okay. All right. Who's up? Me or you? I'm trying to remember.
I'm up on this one.
You're up.
Okay. Here's a trio that I like that may go under the radar a little bit. I love Pittsburgh's trio, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and they picked up Allen Robinson II.
Yeah, if Robinson plays well, you're right. I mean, look, man, Pickens is about to go nuts. He's a beast. He is
Dude,
a
the
stud.
catches he makes falling away and across his body. I mean, just
And he
ridiculous.
plays with an edge. He's ticked off. I like. Yeah, that's a good one. That's
Yeah,
that's
Deontay Johnson, hands like fly paper.
Right.
You know, Deontay Johnson doesn't drop many. Allen Robinson, the thing is, can he stay healthy and can he find his niche? It didn't work out with the Rams for him. Hopefully it works out in Pittsburgh. If it does, that is a great trio for Kenny Pickett to throw to.
Okay, I like it. I'll give you another little bit under the radar, and some of this is going to be how well Calvin Ridley plays. But let's go down to Jacksonville.
Yes.
You throw Ridley into that mix with Christian Kirk, who had a really good year for them in his first year there, and then Zay Jones.
Yes.
You know, Trevor Lawrence has got some options, man.
You've got the possession receiver in Ridley. You've got those two speed guys in Kirk and Jones.
Yep.
And we saw what they were doing once the season got going. They struggled early. Once Lawrence got in this groove and was throwing to Zay and Kirk last year, and look how close they came to winning in the playoffs.
Yep.
They're going to be dangerous, man.
They are.
Okay, I got one more for you.
All right.
We didn't even talk about it. I thought it would have been mentioned a long time ago. Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman, plus they still have Denzel Mims and Corey Davis. Somebody's not making that team. But Aaron Rodgers has more weapons to throw to with the Jets than he's ever had to in Green Bay. Garrett Wilson was the offensive rookie of the year. Mm-hmm. He's got his boy Alan Lazard with him now, who's 6'5", and can stretch the field. And Mecole Hardman is just like a net. We saw what he's never put up big numbers in Kansas City, but they go out and add him to complement these two.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
There's depth. They have a lot of depth there.
I didn't even mention Randall Cobb.
Right. Oh, man. He's making the team.
Yes.
That's Aaron's guy, man. There is no question about that.
Well, when you look at the receivers number 5 and 6 is Denzel Mims and Corey Davis. Yes, they haven't panned out up to this point, but they're good young receivers. Mm-hmm. Man, you got a lot of versatility in this passing game with the Jets.
Yeah. No, you do. You do. All right, I'll give you one more. I could maybe throw even another one in there, but I think I like the Chargers. Now, the big thing is Mike Williams staying healthy, but if Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, if those two are healthy, now it's a question of who else do you throw in there. They took the kid out of TCU, Quentin Johnston. I'm gonna bank on him being legit. You throw him with those two guys and Herbert, they should be scoring, man.
And you got the fast baller quarterback throwing them the ball as well.
Yep. Oh, and looking for his extension.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about that one, but you're right. I forgot they took the kid out of TCU. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a nice trio.
That's not bad.
But you got Brandon Staley coaching them, so they get taken down a peg because of that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The other one you could maybe throw in Raiders with Devontae Adams, Renfro, and Jacoby Myers.
Yeah,
not bad.
Hunter Renfro and Devontae Adams are primetime players. Jacoby Myers, who was where was he last year? Was he in New England? Yeah, in New England. He was,
yeah.
Now he's joining that group. He's a good receiver. Doesn't get the notoriety, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think he's a quality number 3 guy for that offense. If Jimmy G can get on the field and deliver the football. Jimmy G likes to spread the wealth. He's been in that 49ers offense that spreaded the wealth. With this Raiders offense, you have the personnel to spread the wealth. You have a running game that can take a lot of heat off the passing game. And if Josh Jacobs gets going in the running game, you go to that play action. Man, to have those 3 options at your disposal for Jimmy G, not a bad place to be in.
Yeah, it is. It's a good spot. All right, that was fun. I like when we do these. We got to do something with tight ends next week. I'm thinking maybe we just rank them. We just go 1 through 10. Have we done? I don't think we've done that yet. Have we?
No, we haven't. No.
All right. I think we do something with tight ends next week. That'll be fun. We'll dip into that. That's for sure. All right. So we'll come back. We get some odd facts for you regarding UCLA football. We'll mix in some Oklahoma softball, some Oakland /Vegas A's. Maybe not so fast, my friend. I have an on this date for you. We have birthdays. We have movies. We got all kinds of stuff. We'll mix in some chat section questions. We got all kinds of stuff for you as we roll into the final segment. So don't go anywhere. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. We tell you right now about Razor technology. Yes, protecting data. Protecting data is a security imperative for businesses of all sizes. Choose a partner like Razor Technology with expertise in the latest threats and proactive tools to lock down every endpoint with a zero trust approach that makes certain only authorized users can gain access to your systems. Razor delivers enterprise-wide insight into every component of a security plan across identity, devices, information, apps, and infrastructure with threat-prioritized recommendations. They design, deploy, manage, and monitor security solutions that enable modern business to safely communicate, collaborate, and thrive in the modern marketplace. Whether they're working in person or remotely, on internal infrastructure or in the cloud, and in every possible hybrid arrangement. Choose Razor Technology to protect your digital assets, establish an organized wide security posture, enforce safe practices for identity and access management, and secure hybrid and remote workforces. Call Razor Technology today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back, everybody. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. You check out all of our great content at jakibsports.com. Not only can you link up to the shows, all kinds of great articles from John McMullen and Paul Domowitch and others, Eagles and all kinds of great stuff. So check it out. All right. So a couple things, Derek. UCLA and USC are making the move in 2024. It will not be this season to the Big Ten, which I'm sorry. I'm never going to get used to that. Never.
I can't. I don't understand how that's possible.
Yeah.
When you bring two teams all the way from the West Coast into the Big Ten, which has always been a Midwest type conference, I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I'm still not used to the fact that Maryland's in the Big Ten. Like there's just things I have a hard time,
and
adjusting my brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you alerted me to this in the pre-show. What the mileage that they're going to be traveling in that 24 season as a football team, UCLA, Chip Kelly squad, 25,000 miles during the football season.
That's insane. That's insane. And the cost behind that they go from Honolulu to Piscataway, New Jersey to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hey, welcome to the Big Ten.
First of all, I mean, you're telling me that's not – I know they travel. They're not in coach. But that could maybe have an effect on your guys being a little worn down too.
Yes.
Wow.
Because if you're smart, especially if you're going west to east, you try to bring your guys in at least a little bit earlier than you normally do, just to get them acclimated to the 3-hour difference.
Right.
Or the 2-hour difference for that matter. And then think about the hotel accommodations, the food cost on the road. I mean, when you talk about those kind of programs like UCLA, they got money. They got deep pockets, no question about it. But still, the cost alone just to do that is ridiculous. Jeez.
I know. I get it. I know why it's done. I understand it. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that's gonna take its toll, man, on the players. That's for sure. Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma softball, Derek, one of the most dominant programs in all of sports. We probably don't talk about it enough because it's women's softball, whatever. But they beat Florida State last night 3-1, I believe was the final.
Yep.
They are straight dominant. They have been awesome over the whole stretch of this coach who's been there for them. It's been incredible.
Like the last 10 years or something like that.
Yeah. 53 straight wins, 3 titles in a row. And apparently they're loaded for next year too.
I think did I write this? Let's see. Did I write it down? They won national championships in 13, 16, 17, 21, 22, and now 23.
That's correct. That's the first time a team has won 3 in a row since UCLA in 1990. So in 23 seasons, they have a 984 win percentage, 61-1.
You always, why Oklahoma? Out of all the prominent baseball, softball programs we see year in and year out, and every now and then I peek in on like the college softball World Series. It's always a team like Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M. Why Oklahoma all of a sudden? And on top of that, because of their prowess,
they're
about to get a new $42 million stadium.
You know what their run differential is plus 371.
That's crazy. That's insane.
35 shutouts this year. They never trailed by more than 3 runs in a game. The entire season, they had 4 batters who hit over 400 and 3 pitchers of an ERA less than 1.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
there are very few teams outside of women's college basketball teams that can sustain themselves financially. If you really think about it, that's why a lot of programs like the big time football and basketball programs, the money filters down to help sustain the other programs in both the men and women's sports. But this Oklahoma program, softball program, takes care of its own, man. They have a huge following. They obviously get the best of the best high school players coming out. And like I said, anytime you're putting $42 million into a softball stadium for a program, that program is making some money.
Yes, they are. Yes, you're 100% right about that. This isn't just Oklahoma State or Oklahoma's football team and basketball team, and you're taking that money. No, this goes well beyond that. But yeah, that's for sure. Interesting. Derek, 50 years ago today, Secretariat completes the most dominant Triple Crown we have ever seen in the history of horse racing. You want a fun fact here on that? On that? All right. So if you placed in 1973 a $2 bet on Secretariat, the odds just talk about for the final leg of it, right? The odds were so against you, the Secretariat was such an overwhelming favorite. If you bet $2, your return was 20 cents. That's all you would have won on a $2 bet. You had to have some kind of exacta or trifecta or something, or else you weren't winning any money. That's how dominant Secretariat was. I know you actually did. You see Secretariat in person?
Yeah. Secretariat actually won that last leg of the Triple Crown by 25 lengths.
That's
the horse was so dominant. Only 5 horses ran in that final leg of the Triple Crown. And then as Secretariat started making the summer tour, racing at different parks, my family used to love to go down to Arlington Park outside of Chicago every summer. They'd go 4 or 5 times. You know, my family wasn't big bettors, but they like to go down and play the horses every now and then. Right. And that's how I learned to read racing forms. And then after Secretariat won the Triple Crown, I got a chance to go with my family to see Secretariat run at Arlington Park. And that was the most beautiful chestnut colt I had ever seen. Of course, he ran away with the field at Arlington Park. But at the time, I didn't really understand the significance of it. I just thought we only knew it because it's Secretariat. And at that time, Secretariat was like the Beatles traveling the country, man. Everybody, everywhere that horse ran, people couldn't wait to see Secretariat run. And I look back on it now, I said, man, what a special moment that was to see up close and personal, to watch that horse run. I don't know what that horse was made of. I don't know what his bloodlines was, but that horse was one of a kind. And we've seen some great horses in our lifetime, but that horse was second to none in terms of just a dominant entity. I know a lot of people were against racing animals and still are. I get it. But horse racing has been around for decades. And to be able to watch that, one of the greatest of all times at his best, man. Now I view it as a special treat. At that time, it was just another weekend outing with the family, running up and down the steps, getting popcorn and a hot dog. And you know, every now and then your parents will let you place a $2 bet on something just to make you feel good about being there with them, you know. But man, you talk about historic. I don't know if we'll ever see another horse like that in a lifetime. You know, we see horses win Triple Crowns, but that dominant.
No, I don't think we will.
Another horse like that.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if anybody's able to even come anywhere near what that horse was able to do. It was unbelievable. All right, so some birthdays. Here we go. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is 60 today. It's hard to believe. Natalie Portman, the actress, is 42 today.
Yep.
Harvard graduate, Derek Gunn. Michael J. Fox. He is 62 today. Is Michael J. Fox a brave man? Because his life has not been easy the last 20, 30 years with Parkinson's. Mae Whitman, who's a very good actress, is 35 today. The great Cole Porter. And if you don't know, find out, because he was absolutely incredible. Born on this day in 1891. Speaking of great, Jackie Wilson.
Yes.
Great singer. Lost him way too soon, but 1934, Jackie was born. Take a couple minutes and just listen to Jackie Wilson's music if you get a chance. Speaking of music, how about this guy, Les Paul? Les Paul, who is perhaps considered the greatest guitar designer that there has ever been. Born on this day in 1915. Georgia Holt, do you know the name?
Georgia Holt, no.
She's 97. She is Cher's mother.
No kid.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Aaron Sorkin, the great writer, is 62 today. Unbelievable. That guy's mind is in a different universe. Jackie Mason, the old comedian, was born on this day in 1928. Gloria Rubin, ER, many other shows, 59 today is Gloria. Dick Vitale. Dickie V, baby. 84 today.
Nice.
Teddy Bruschi is 50, former Patriot. Peja Stojakovic, former King, is 46 today. One of my favorites, the Cobra, Dave Parker, is 72.
Yeah, and that's something.
Love Dave Parker. Cannon for an arm, too. Udonis Haslem, still in the NBA. 43 years old, still on the Heat roster. He says he's retiring after this year, but we'll see. That's all I have for birthdays. What do you have?
Sebastian Telfair. Remember that name?
Yeah. Guard out of Brooklyn.
Yep, guard was the 13th overall pick by Portland back in 2004. Is a cousin of Stephon Marbury. He's 38 today. Eddie Marson, who's in the movie V for Vendetta, Mission Impossible 3 in Hancock, is 55 today.
Okay.
Gary Thorne, a great broadcaster, 75 on this.
I think Gary Thorne's excellent.
I love his voice. I love his delivery. I love everything about Gary Thorne.
Yeah.
Joshua Cribbs, one of the best return specialists ever in the history of the NFL.
He was.
Is 40 today. Can you believe he's already 40?
Gosh.
He was just playing yesterday.
Yeah.
Rondale Moore is 23 today. Yuli Gurriel, the baseball player, 39 today.
Yep.
And the great Wayman Tisdale, great player at Oklahoma, first-round draft pick, second overall by Indiana. And then transformed. He was incredible smooth jazz guitarist. Died way too young at the age of 44. He was born on this day in 1964.
Okay, good ones. Very good ones there. All right, give you little movies. One of my favorites, Cars. Cars, I thought was just a cute little, good, well done, funny, good movie, man, and good cast.
All three of them were. All three.
I thought they were all. I agree. Yeah. All good, man. All good. Yeah. The Mummy from 2017, Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Gone in 60 Seconds with Nick Cage and Angelina Jolie from 2000. It was very good. 2020, Think Like a Dog. 2011, Super 8.
Yeah.
Other than that, didn't see a ton that really moved me here. Did you like any other ones?
Yeah, 2017, It Comes at Night.
Okay.
I watched bits and pieces of it. It was okay.
Yeah.
And one is being released today in theaters today. The latest edition of the Transformers movie, Transformers: The Rise of the Beast. I've seen all the trailers on it, and it's, on TV and stuff, and on streaming. It's a movie I'll watch. I probably won't go to the theater to see it. I'll wait till it's out on demand or something like that and watch it. But I thought they were done with Transformers. They're still making them. So
look, I mean, we know how this works. Just look at Fast and Furious. If it's making money, and the most of the stars are willing to keep going,
they'll
keep cranking it out. I mean, they will for sure. Transformers makes money, that's for sure. All right, so what we have this weekend: the Phillies, Dodgers. That much we know. We know it's a critical series. Now, the good thing is, and I mentioned this earlier when we had Greg Murphy on. Ranger Suarez goes tonight. He's been really good in his last couple of starts. He's after a rough go after coming back from the injury, but 13 2/3 innings, 3 runs in his last 2 starts. They will have Jose Alvarado activated, barring any kind of setback, so he'll be ready to go tonight as well. So we have that. We're really in that sort of holding pattern time with the Eagles. Once these OTAs end, it's 6 weeks from now when camp starts. So it's a little bit of a wait. Yeah.
What are we gonna do with all this free time, man?
We'll figure it out like we always do. We're gonna have a couple. We're gonna have Tom McCarthy next week. We're gonna have Chris Franklin, who covers the Eagles for NJ.com, among others. We're gonna have plenty of stuff for you. That's for sure. We know that much. Sixers. Now it's a matter of what happens with Harden. We'll of course be talking about the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals as well. And then we'll see how they fill out their coaching staff. I think with the Flyers, there's going to be a lot more moves coming. We're just kind of scratching the surface here with the Provorov move. I think there's going to be a lot more happening in Flyer land, because especially like Keith Jones is doing the Stanley Cup Finals here for TNT.
Yep.
Once they're over, and I think he's back here full time with Briere. Not to say that they're not communicating, I'm sure, all day long, but I think that's when you're going to see everything get kicked up a notch too. And once the Cup Finals end, so I think the Flyers are going to be very active, but that's kind of where we're at. And then, the Phillies end up after that Dodgers series with, it continues to be pretty difficult. I think it's Arizona next after that.
Yep. They go to Arizona for 4.
Right. Arizona for 4. And then
Oakland for 3. They get a breather with Oakland.
Right. And then then it's Atlanta, then it's New York. And New York's having all kinds of issues. Pete Alonso's getting his wrist examined, and they've had a lot of injury issues to deal with so far this year. That's for sure. All right, that's going to do it for us. I want to thank our guy, Tone DeShields. As always, great job, Tone. All
you didn't
of
have
you.
to tell me to unmute today.
I know, not once. Not one. We're making inroads, man. We're accomplishing.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves now.
That's it. Thanks to everybody in the chat section. You always good stuff, guys. You keep us entertained as always. And everybody who streamed, everybody who listened, again, you can check us out. Just go to jakibsports.com, JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. If you miss anything, we interviewed Greg Murphy a little bit earlier. If you want to listen to that in its entirety, if you didn't get a chance to hear it, you can do that as well. All right. So don't go anywhere. We have the National Football Show coming up with Dan Cilio. And, of course, Derek and I will be back on Monday at the same time. So, everybody, have yourself a great weekend. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Tell a friend. Spread the word about the show and the channel. And we will talk to you on Monday.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.